Celestial Immortal Clan. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 376 Unknown Spirit Seed. These three things are all magic weapons. Lin Changqing has several magic weapons in his hands, so he will definitely not make a mistake. And these three magic weapons were all found in the pile of spoils of the Jin family leader. So Lin Changqing guessed that most of the things in the cave should be stored with their clan leader first, and he was probably going to divide them up when he returned. He couldn't use the magic weapon yet, so he just played with it in his hand for a while, and then put it into the spirit beast bracelet. The next step was to focus on searching in the pile of spoils of the Jin family leader, and he soon found what he wanted. Two very familiar jade slips appeared in front of him. They were the kind of high-level jade slip materials, which were the materials used to carry the golden seal characters in the family. Lin Changqing picked one at random, picked it up and put it on his forehead, and read it. He immediately knew what it was. This was a 4th-level alchemist inheritance jade slip. He took a casual look and found that there were quite a few pill recipes of various levels in it. It seemed to be a relatively complete set of alchemist inheritance. This made him feel happy. This inheritance was very useful to him. After all, he was also an alchemist and would definitely want to obtain the high-level inheritance of this profession. But now was not the right occasion, and it was not the time to study it carefully, so he could only put the jade slip away first. He picked up another jade slip, put it on his forehead, and read it. Soon he knew that this was a jade slip of a technique. The name was Golden Flame Burning Heaven Art, which was considered a ground-level fire technique. According to the records in the jade slip, this technique could be practiced to the late Yuanying stage. It was many times more powerful than the Lin family's own fire technique. Now only the technique practiced by his sister Lin Changqing was stronger than this. However, this technique was of no use to Lin Changqing, so he could only put it in the storage bag and see how to deal with it later. The rest were 70 or 80 jade boxes, some clothes, sundries, practice notes and other things. Lin Changqing was a little dissatisfied with this cleanup. He felt that this cave should have more than these things. At least he found an alchemy furnace inside, and there was also a high-level alchemist inheritance, so he should have harvested some elixirs. But there were no high-grade elixirs in these storage bags. Lin Changqing had carefully checked them just now, and there was indeed not a single high-grade elixir. This proved that they did not find any elixir in the cave. Could it be that it had been too long and completely rotted? Or did they find it, but it was hidden in these jade boxes? Thinking of this, Lin Changqing could not help but pull all the 70 or 80 jade boxes over, and then opened them one by one to check. But the result was not ideal. Except for 35 jade boxes that had something in them, the other dozens of jade boxes were empty, and most of the jade boxes that had something in them were 1st and 2nd grade spiritual plants, and no elixirs or other precious things were found. The only consolation was that there were more than a dozen of these spiritual plants that were not in the inner space, and they could be transplanted in to fill the gaps inside. The remaining 2 were not jade boxes for storing spiritual plants, and one contained 3 high-grade spiritual stones. Moreover, the 3 top-grade spirit stones have different properties. These are probably spirit stones collected by the Jin family themselves, not found in the cave. In another jade box, there is a spirit seed, or a fruit collar. Lin Changqing used his spiritual sense to sense it. He found that the grade of this thing is not low, but it looks a bit lifeless, as if it has been stored for too long and its vitality has been worn away. This is a bit like something in the cave, but Lin Changqing has read a lot of books about spirit plants, but he didn't recognize what kind of spirit plant it is. So there was no way for a while, so he simply put a few medium-grade spirit stones next to the spirit seed. Then he put it away, and didn't want to rack his brains. He would try to see if he could grow it in the inner space when the time comes. At this point, all the jade boxes have been opened, and these harvests did not meet Lin Changqing's expectations, or he was a little disappointed. But there is no way, now it can only be like this, so he put the spoils on the ground into different storage bags in different categories for future use. Finally, it was Lin Changqing's own harvest. In fact, there were not many things, just a futon and a tripod-shaped space magic weapon. After thinking about it, he decided to start with a futon and took it out of the storage bag. He weighed the white futon in his hand and felt that it was no different from the weight of an ordinary futon. It just felt a little cold in his hand and felt very smooth. He pinched it carefully again with his hand, and he didn't feel anything hidden in it, but he didn't believe that this thing would be ordinary. So he pulled it a little harder, but it didn't tear, so he was more convinced that this thing must be extraordinary. Combined with the touch of his hand, he suddenly thought of something, that is, ice silk. If it is true, it should be at least the silk spit out by the second-level ice silkworm. Because the force of the pull just now must be several hundred kilograms, at this time he couldn't help it, and pulled it hard again, but it still didn't break, which made him more certain this time. Looking at it and thinking about it, he finally decided to try it directly. Anyway, there shouldn't be any harm. So he simply put the cushion under his buttocks, and then began to try to practice the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra. It took some time to practice for a week, and then he found something different. It stands to reason that he was in the Qinghai Mountains, surrounded by dense forests and wilderness. There were some big and small movements around him, far and near. It was difficult to practice wholeheartedly in such a place because of his concerns. But when he was practicing just now, he quickly entered a very deep state of practice, as if all distracting thoughts were eliminated at once. At this time, if he didn't understand that he had picked up a treasure, he would be a fool. This cushion has a very obvious effect of calming the mind. It is a good treasure to assist in practice. With it, the efficiency of practice can be improved by at least 1 or 2 levels. It may not be seen in a short time, but if it takes a long time, you can see its huge effect. Lin Changqing decided that he must sit on this cushion when practicing in the future. So he decided to give it a name. After thinking about it for a while, he decided to call it Wunian Yu Fuchuan. It means that when practicing, there should be no messy thoughts. Chapter 377, Cave Heaven Magical Weapon? He was quite satisfied with this thing he picked up casually. This thing was neither a magic weapon nor a spiritual tool, let alone a magic weapon, if it really had to be classified. He felt that the Wunian Jade prayer mat should be a kind of rare thing. Anyway, it belongs to him now. When he returns to Jiufeng Mountain, he will find a chance to try sitting on it and practice magic to see if there are any special bonuses. If there are, it will really make a fortune. Now there is one last thing to check, so the Wunian Jade prayer mat will be studied carefully later. He took out the tripod-shaped magic weapon in his arms. In fact, Lin Changqing was the most curious about this thing, and he also had a vague guess in his mind. His previous owner used an entire second-level spiritual vein to support a space magic weapon, so no matter how he looked at it, he knew that this magic weapon was extraordinary. And the only explanation for him to do this is that this tripod-shaped magic weapon requires a huge amount of spiritual energy. Anyway, this thing is not simple no matter how you look at it. Now he is hesitating whether to start refining this magic weapon here. After all, this thing is different from the storage bracelet he had refined before. Although the storage bracelet is also a kind of magic weapon, he feels that it is a different concept compared to this thing. Moreover, he has no way to grasp the time of the sacrifice and refining. However, after seeing the 36 second-level purple crystal scorpions hidden around, he feels very relieved, so he finally decides to try the sacrifice and refining. But if the sacrifice and refining takes too long, he will give up and wait until it is safe to do it again. It just so happens that there is a Wunian Jade mat under his buttocks, so he will try it by the way to see if there are any other bonuses. So he sat cross-legged, began to mobilize the mana, and officially sacrificed the tripod-shaped magic weapon in his hand. Under Lin Changqing's mobilization, the high-quality chaos mana was poured into the tripod-shaped magic weapon, and soon he began to sacrifice without distraction. Unknowingly, 3 hours passed, and Lin Changqing finally opened his eyes and breathed a sigh of relief. It was not easy. He finally completed the sacrifice and knew roughly what this space magic weapon was. The name of this magic weapon is Baoding Medicine Garden. You can tell what it is by the name. Yes, there is a spiritual medicine garden inside. This also explains why this magic weapon needs a huge amount of spiritual energy to support it, just to maintain a spiritual medicine inside to continue to grow. At first, he thought it was a cave magic weapon, thinking that it was absorbing spiritual energy all the time, just for the growth of the space inside, but he didn't expect to be completely wrong. This is just a space magic weapon, and it is still a long way from the cave magic weapon. Although he was a little disappointed, now that it is his own thing, he still has to understand the specific situation of this Baoding spiritual medicine garden, so he decided to go in and take a look now. Just now, he sorted out so many spoils of war, and spent several hours to sacrifice the magic weapon. Now it is almost dawn, so he has to hurry up. So he input some mana into the treasure tripod, opened a light gate, and Lin Changqing flashed in. And soon the light gate disappeared. And only the Wunian jade point and a treasure tripod were left. Lin Changqing went to the spiritual medicine garden and was really disappointed this time. The space of this Baoding medicine garden is not big at all. It is estimated to be at most 10 acres. You can see the end at a glance, but there are quite a few spiritual medicines inside, but no one has managed them for a long time. Many real medicines withered after they matured. Then they grew again, resulting in too small a gap between the spiritual medicines. Many of them are not very good, and someone needs to spend time to take care of them. In addition, there is a courtyard in the center of the entire Baoding space. This courtyard occupies half an acre of space, which is almost 1/20th of the entire space. Now he is preparing to explore the situation of this courtyard first, but before he went in, he already had a bad premonition. Because the surface of the whole courtyard looks shabby, it should be because of the time. Some building materials have decayed, so it has become like this. Lin Changqing doesn't want to waste time anymore. There are 5 rooms in this courtyard, and the largest one in the middle should be the living room. Fortunately, only the roofs of 2 rooms collapsed. As long as they are cleaned up, it should not affect the search inside. However, now I am afraid that it has been too long and the things inside have rotted. It is almost dawn outside, and Lin Changqing still has to continue on his way. So without hesitation, he started looking from the room on the left. It can be seen that this room should have been used to store spiritual medicines in the past. It is quite professional. There are 3 large cabinets in the room, and they are all grids, and there are names on each grid. Some of the names are more familiar to Lin Changqing. But he opened dozens of grids and looked through them. There were only ashes left inside. There was nothing useful. Even the spiritual seeds were not found. Although he had been mentally prepared, he still couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Not wanting to waste time here, he retreated directly and came to the next room. The roof of this room collapsed. However, this did not bother Lin Changqing. He used a blank storage bag to pack up the collapsed garbage and waste, and he would take it out to dispose of it later. There was only 1 row of cabinets in this room, but the cabinets were also divided into grids, with different names of elixirs written on them. The first grid in the first row was written with the name of the Blood Sun Pill. Lin Changqing's heart moved and he opened the grid to check it out. Since he heard about this elixir in Wanbao Pavilion many years ago, he has never really seen the real thing. There were 3 jade bottles in the grid. Lin Changqing chose one and opened it. Unexpectedly, there was only a pile of red dirt inside. He opened the jade bottles one after another, and the situation was the same. He knew that most of the elixirs in it should end up like this. Sure enough, after opening more than 20 grids in a row, the result was the same. Looking at the names of these elixirs, only a few were first-level elixirs. The rest were mainly second and third-level elixirs, especially Zifu Tuangsuandan, and even higher-level elixirs were named. But when they were opened, they were all rotten, which made Lin Changqing feel as if his heart was bleeding. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 378 Wanayaoman. Forget about other elixirs, he really needed Zifu Tuangsuandan. Although he already had his own share, there was still no trace of Tuangsuandan for his family members. But now that it was like this, he had no choice but to comfort himself that these things had been there for so long. They should have expired, and even if he found a complete elixir, he would not dare to take it. Sure enough, after thinking about it this way, he felt much better. He no longer cared about these gains and losses, so he was not going to look at the remaining grids anymore. Even if there were any elixirs, he would not dare to use them. Or, when he had time, he would clean up everything inside. Leaving it here would only be an eyesore. He left the room where the elixirs were stored and came to the living room. This place was quite spacious. However, except for a set of furniture that was about to rot, Lin Changqing used his spiritual sense to search carefully and did not find anything useful. He could only leave disappointed and go directly to the next room. As soon as he entered this room, he could not help but frown, because this was obviously a bedroom. Except for a bed, he could not find anything else. However, he still maintained a cautious attitude, carefully searched twice with his spiritual sense, and personally tried all the corners, but did not find any secret compartments or other mechanisms. He shook his head and left directly. The roof of the last room also collapsed, so he still used the old method to deal with it. However, this room finally gave him some gains, because it was a room similar to a study. Although those paper books had basically rotted away, as soon as Lin Changqing made a little noise, all these paper books were weathered. But he still couldn't find the 3 jade slips, and the jade slips could be preserved for a longer time. At this time, Lin Changqing couldn't wait to pick up one and put it on his forehead to read. After a while, he couldn't help rolling his eyes, feeling quite speechless. The content inside was 10,000 Medicines Atlas. It was mainly a book of information on more than 20,000 kinds of spiritual medicines, spiritual plants, and spiritual herbs in the world of cultivation. Although this thing is also very valuable, it is still a little bit different from what he expected. After that, he adjusted his mood, took out another jade slip, and continued to read, but this time he was even more speechless. Because this was a 3rd-level spiritual plant master inheritance, Lin Changqing had it himself, so he could only put it away first. He took out the last jade slip and continued to read it. This time, the content of the jade slip aroused Lin Changqing's great interest. Because this is the jade slip left by the owner of the cave, or the owner of the Baoding Medicine Garden, for the later destined people. The owner of this cave is called Zhao Zining, an inner disciple of a sect called Wanai Aoman in Zuanayan continent. According to him, this Wanai Aoman is a very large sect. There are many inheritance factions in it. After his continuous efforts, he worshipped the Baoding Peak lineage, and this Baoding Medicine Garden is his master's portable magic weapon. At the beginning, everything was fine. But once his master entered a secret realm to explore and collect herbs, which was originally a sure thing, but there was a very big variable. In the end, his master was seriously injured and tried his best to get out of the sect. However, because the injury was too serious, he passed away not long after returning to the sect. Before he died, he handed over the magic weapon and the Baoding Medicine Garden to him, and asked him to practice well and forbade him to break into the secret realm again. However, with the death of his master, he did not get the opportunity to continue practicing, because the Peak Master wanted him to hand over the Baoding Medicine Garden. It was related to his own vital interests, so he certainly did not agree, so the Peak Master used all kinds of coercion and inducement. It made him very annoyed, and there was no environment for him to practice peacefully, and it even evolved to the point where his life was in danger. So he simply found an opportunity, accepted an external mission and left the sect, and planned not to go back in the future. In fact, it was equivalent to betraying the sect. He borrowed some channels of one Bao Pavilion and went to many places before finally coming here. I thought that after coming here, with the help of the Baoding Medicine Garden, I could practice peacefully. But for some reason, he was stuck in the middle stage of the Purple Mansion and could not make any progress. He thought of many ways, but none of them could solve the problem. In the end, he even planned to return to Zuanayan continent to find a solution. But by chance, he learned from one Bao Pavilion that the sect had listed him as a defector and issued a bounty order everywhere. In addition, the Peak Master's lineage specially sent people to look for his whereabouts everywhere. After knowing this news, he gave up his plan to return to Zuanayan continent. He continued to stay here, but in the end, he tried his best and failed to break through the shackles of the middle stage of the Purple Mansion. So before he passed away, he left this information to the people who were destined to come later. Let the people who inherited his relics be careful of the Wanai sect, especially the people of the Baoding Peak lineage. He especially told him not to let the Baoding Medicine Garden be obtained by the people of the main Peak lineage, even if he died. The meaning is very obvious. Even if this treasure room magic weapon is destroyed, it can no longer be used by the people of the main Peak lineage. The next step is to explain some things in the cave and the spiritual medicine space. Unfortunately, basically, many of them are no longer useful now. Lin Changqing was a little amused when he saw this. In his opinion, this senior named Zhao Zining was also a very stubborn person. For a Baoding Medicine Garden, he even betrayed the sect and ended up drifting to Qinghai, a place with poor resources, where he was trapped in the middle stage of Zifu until his death. Lin Changqing didn't know what to say, but judging from the messages he left to Lin Changqing, He should be holding his breath in his heart, and even plan to fight back to Wan Ioman when his cultivation level was higher in the future. He should be dissatisfied with the trickery of the peak master's lineage, especially as a disciple of the same lineage. There were people provoking trouble every day, and the matter was so big. No elder came out to give him justice, which made him extremely disappointed, so he had the idea of betraying the sect and put it into action. However, these have nothing to do with Lin Changqing. As for knowing that the relationship between this Baoding medicine garden and Wanai Aoman is complicated. So after thinking about it, he decided not to bring this thing into Zuanayan continent, but to leave it in the family and give it to his grandfather for use first. Anyway, he has Lin Changliu's inner space. Of course, the most important thing is that he doesn't think highly of such a tiny space magic weapon. Chapter 379 Earn 1 Twink Soon pill every year. And the most important thing is that if there is no spiritual vein to nourish, the Baoding medicine garden will not absorb enough spiritual energy, and the spiritual medicine inside will stop growing. Of course, if there is no spiritual vein to nourish, you can also directly put in spiritual stones instead of spiritual veins, which can also maintain the growth of the spiritual medicine inside. But Lin Changqing really doesn't like it, and feels that it is useless, so he just leaves it in the family. At that time, just transplant some of the spiritual medicines that Lin Changqing doesn't have in this spiritual medicine garden to the inner space. After deciding whether to keep the space magic weapon, Lin Changqing continued to check the spiritual medicines growing inside. 10 acres of spiritual land. According to normal circumstances, if you plant first-level spiritual medicines, you will plant about 60 to 70 plants per acre. If you plant second-level spiritual medicines, you will plant 30 to 40 plants, depending on which spiritual medicine you plant. And if you plant third-level spiritual medicines, you can only plant 20 to 30 plants per acre. So don't look at the area of 10 acres here. Planting third-level spiritual medicines can only be about 300 plants at most. Now it is far more than this number. Normally, it is not possible to plant so many, but the problem is that the owner is dead and there is no one to manage it. It is not normal. Therefore, most of the spiritual medicines are grown together in groups. No matter how good these spiritual medicines are, their roots must be entangled with each other. This will cause great trouble for the future picking of spiritual medicines. You must know that the roots of spiritual medicines are entangled. Once they are accidentally damaged during picking, the storage time will be greatly reduced. And the efficacy will be weakened to some extent, so it must be handled carefully. If it really doesn't work, then the picking work will be left to my grandfather to handle it personally. At this time, he has already inspected a circle. After counting, he found that there are actually 600 or 700 spiritual medicines of the second and third levels in this spiritual medicine garden. And most of the spiritual medicines are third-level spiritual medicines, while there are fewer second-level spiritual medicines, and there is not a single first-level spiritual medicine. He knows most of the other second-level spiritual medicines, but only a small part of the third-level spiritual medicines. However, he had guessed that the plants planted there must be some spiritual medicines that are mainly used to improve cultivation and break through bottlenecks. 600 or 700 second and third level spiritual medicines, even if only half of them are ripe and can be picked, it is still a considerable amount of spiritual stones. Anyway, it must be much more than the spiritual stones he harvested this time. After a round of inspection, he had a general idea in his mind, and then he left the Baoding spiritual medicine garden. After returning to the original location, he found that the sky outside was completely bright, so Lin Changqing quickly packed up his things. Then he recalled 36 purple crystal scorpions, and fed them some monster meat and second-level spiritual crystals, and then set off immediately. In the past 2 days, he didn't even do the normal daily cultivation tasks. Just to find the new mineral vein quickly, and after setting up the space mark, he could go back quickly. But at this location, it is already close to the inner circle of Qingayan mountain range. Lin Changqing found a second-level earth-shaking bear on the first day of the journey after a while. He looked at it from a distance because of his strong spiritual sense, and found that it was a late second-order cultivation. Although he felt very good looking at the huge bear paw. But now he didn't want to waste time casually, so he didn't want to entangle with it, so with the help of Chui, he made a small circle and avoided the earth-shaking bear. However, the second-order monsters encountered along the way did increase gradually, not to mention the late first-order monsters, the number must be even greater. However, Lin Changqing didn't kill them, but relied on Chuai and the light gauze magic weapon to easily avoid and break through. Even Chuer, he didn't dare to release it today, just because he was afraid that there were too many second-order monster birds in the Qinghai Mountains, and Chuer was regarded as prey. From time to time, he released Jinai to confirm the distance and direction. He made continuous corrections and finally found the place successfully in the afternoon of the same day. The new mineral vein is near a mountain stream. According to Jinai's meaning conveyed through the contract, they found it when they came here to drink water. So Lin Changqing released Jin Yi and Jinner, and he called Chu Yi back into the spirit beast bracelet, and followed them all the time. They went upstream all the way and finally arrived at a rock wall. The mountain stream water kept pouring out from under the rock wall. Obviously, this was the outlet of the mountain stream. Jin Yi and Jinner shouted at him, then went directly into the water and dived towards the outlet. Lin Changqing understood what they meant and used the water walking technique to keep up with them. The speed of the two of them in the water was even slower. But fortunately, it was not far, probably about 3 or 4 miles away, and they left the water. Then they stepped into a natural cave, and not far away, they arrived at the new mineral vein discovered by Jin Yi and Jinner. This mineral vein has been dug out by Jin Yi and others into a mine tunnel more than 2 miles long. And Lin Changqing deliberately performed a spiritual light technique, and many dots of golden light could be seen on the mine wall. This proves that the reserves of Zuanling gold ore in this place should be quite large. Lin Changqing roughly looked at the entire mine tunnel. Then he unceremoniously collected all the raw ore that Jin Yi and Jinner dug out. There are about 200 cubic meters of them in the spirit beast bracelet. This feels that the purity is quite high. It is estimated that about 2 cubic meters can be refined into 1 portion of Zuanling gold. So there are more than 100 portions of Zuanling gold here. Even if it is converted into spirit stones, there are at least 300,000 or 400,000 spirit stones. It has only been about a year. In addition to the raw ore they have consumed, there are still so many ores left. Needless to say, I can buy several foundation building pills. Even if it is a purple mansion Twinksung pill, it is more than enough to buy one. Of course, if you want to buy the purple mansion Twinksung pill, you also need a place to sell it. Basically, Wanbao Pavilion will auction it once every 10 years. Now Lin Changqing feels very satisfied when looking at Jin Yi and Jinner. What a good spirit pet. They were just constantly digging spiritual stones for him. It was right to contract their family and make such an investment. As for the fact that they left the 3 little guys to him to take care of, he decided to forgive them. After all, Lin Changqing himself saw the danger along the way. If the 3 guys followed them, maybe they really couldn't get here. Chapter 380 Processing the Harvest. After thinking for a while, he had a rough idea in his mind, so he communicated with Jin Yi and the others. After the discussion, 10 cubic meters of raw ore were exchanged for 100-year-old red fruit. This was a happy result. Anyway, Jin Yi and Jinner were very happy, not to mention Lin Changqing. This time, Lin Changqing did not suffer any loss, and he made a lot of money. 10 cubic meters of raw ore could produce about 5 portions of Zuanling gold. It was worth 20,000 spiritual stones, and 100-year-old red fruit was 2,000 spiritual stones. This time, Lin Changqing reluctantly made a big profit of almost 10 times the price difference. Even capitalists dared not be so cruel. So he was in a good mood and took out 2 storage bags and 2 animal tendons. After some operations, he tied the 2 storage bags around the necks of Jin Yi and the others. He began to teach them how to use demon power, sacrifice and use storage bags. After they finally succeeded, he gave them 1,200-year-old red fruits each. As for how they should take it, that was their business. Lin Changqing didn't have to worry about it. After all, they both had experience. After thinking for a while, he left a lot of monster meat for both of them and asked them to put it all into the storage bag. Anyway, he harvested a lot of monster meat the day before yesterday, so it was okay to leave some for them, and in this way, they didn't have to go out to forage often. It can save more time to mine for Lin Changqing to earn spiritual stones, and of course, it can also earn 100-year-old red fruits for himself. It's a win-win situation. After another round of inspection, he confirmed that there was no problem in the mine. He also ordered Jin Yi and Jinner to dig more ores and wait for him to come next time to exchange them for 100-year-old red fruits. Then he communicated with Lin Changqing and asked him to leave a space mark here, and then left the mine and went directly into the inner space. He asked Lin Changqing to send him back to Jiufeng Mountain. After dealing with the enthusiastic deer, Su Miniang happened to come over. So Lin Changqing handed over all kinds of spiritual medicines and spiritual plants that could be planted along the way to her. She was very familiar with these tasks and had a lot of experience, so he didn't need to tell her anything. He went to the yard again and looked at Lu Yaguang and Lu Xiaomi, who were still sleeping. After checking them, he confirmed that everything was normal, so Lin Changqing was relieved. In about 10 days, they should be promoted successfully. When they reach the second level, they can help him produce more spiritual medicines and spiritual plants. After instructing Su Miniang to continue to look after them, Lin Changqing came to the deep pit in the center of the space and took out the storage bag containing the magic tools. He threw all the magic tools and spiritual tools with his special marks of the Jin family into the deep pit, including the garbage and other things. He also dealt with the 25 corpses of the Jin family cultivators, otherwise he would feel weird carrying them all the time. It was that kind of disgusting feeling, and now that they have been dealt with, I feel much better all of a sudden. Then he put away the remaining few top-grade magic tools and a dozen or so mid to high-grade spiritual tools in different categories. As for the 3 top-grade spiritual tools, they were directly put into his storage bag. When he was free, he would start to practice. Then he went back to the yard again and put the spiritual tools, magic tools, and several magic treasures in the storage room. It was not convenient to carry these things on his body, so it was safest to put them in the inner space. Then he went to the queen bee and got it a spiritual pill, which was dissolved into water and sent to the entrance of the hive. This time, he didn't have to wait for it to find him. At this time, Lin Changqing suddenly felt something in his heart and received a notice from Lin Changliu. Knowing that it had returned to Jiufeng Mountain, he immediately exited the inner space and appeared directly in his own practice room. Now, Lin Changqing finally breathed a sigh of relief. He encountered a lot of things when he went out this time. It took 3 days to finally return home. But he was not ready to leave the retreat yet. He wanted to make up for the progress of practice that he had fallen behind in the past 2 days, and then leave the retreat tomorrow. In this way, he sat on the Wunian jade mat under his buttocks and began to practice without distraction. He practiced a 5 elements Chaos Sutra, various magical spells, and the Thunder Sutra without missing a single one. Time passed unknowingly, and when he opened his eyes again, it was already the next day. He estimated that Chen Ziya was already waiting for him to come out of retreat, so he didn't waste any more time and directly closed the formation and restrictions and came out of retreat. As soon as he came out of retreat, he saw Chen Ziya and his sister, and Lin Changqing was in a good mood. So she said with a smile, "How come Linger is so free today that she even comes to welcome me out of retreat? It's really rare." Lin Changqing rolled her eyes at him and said with disdain, "I came here specifically to play with my sister-in-law, and welcoming you out of retreat is just a coincidence." When Chen Ziya heard her say this, she giggled and said, "Yes, Linger was afraid that I would be too bored alone, so she often comes to accompany me. Then she comes to the practice room to take a look every day. She is definitely not here to welcome you. I can testify for her." When Lin Changqing heard this, he knew what was going on. It turned out that loving his sister was useful, so he reached out and touched her little head. However, Lin Changqing didn't mind being avoided by her, and continued to ask, "Is there anything wrong at home during the days I was in seclusion?" Chen Ziya shook her head and said, "Everything is normal, nothing serious happened. It's just that my mother has cultivated to the great perfection of key refining, and her spiritual energy has been polished and rounded, but she plans to retreat to build the foundation later. It seems that she should postpone it until we leave." After hearing this, Lin Changqing couldn't help but sigh. There's more than a month before leaving. During this time, he should go there to accompany his mother and aunt more. They are the people who care about and love Lin Changqing the most. So he said to Chen Ziya, "Let's go there more during this period. The next time we come back, the earliest will be 10 years later." Chen Ziya nodded seriously after listening, and she could fully understand Lin Changqing's feelings. She also missed her parents and family very much, but now she could only hide her homesickness completely. In fact, she also wanted to go home to see, but from here to go back, she had to cross 4 or 5 prefectures, and it would take almost a month for her to fly a sword or ride a chuai. It would take nearly 2 months to go back and forth, so all the time would be spent on the journey. Doing so would be a waste of both ends and was totally unfeasible. When Lin Changqing heard her brother instructing her sister-in-law like this, She smiled and felt that Lin Changqing had not forgotten his mother just because he had a Taoist partner. Chapter 381, Calming Down the Anger. After the three of them talked for a while, Lin Changqing left first, probably to go play with Lin Changqing. Now only Lin Changqing was left. He hadn't seen Chen Ziya for several days, and he still missed her very much. So he smiled and pulled Chen Ziya and said, "Yeah, I've been in seclusion for a few days. Suddenly, I have a new understanding of the Yin-Yang Harmony Sutra. Let's try it quickly. This time we should gain a lot." Then he pulled her and wanted to run into the room. When Chen Ziya heard it, her eyes widened, and then she immediately reacted and laughed non-stop. This was not a new understanding, it was clearly that Lin Changqing wanted to do something bad, but she still agreed reluctantly. Just like this, a morning passed, and when Lin Changqing went out again, it was already 2 or 3 hours later. He said that he had a new understanding, so he must have a new understanding. After all, new moves also belong to the scope of new understanding. In fact, it was not just for the purpose of practicing the Yin-Yang Harmony Sutra, but after killing so many people this time, there was always a violent breath in his heart. It would be best to have a Taoist partner to help vent, and those people in the Jin family did not make any big mistakes. The only mistake might be to provoke Lin Changqing, and even want to capture him and put him under house arrest. The problem is that he could not surrender, so killing was inevitable. But this was not his original intention, so he also accumulated some bad emotions in his heart. And this time, taking the opportunity of dual cultivation with his Taoist partner, he finally vented it, and was comforted by Chen Ziya, and his mentality finally returned to peace. In the future, it will not accumulate little by little, forming a demon in the heart, which will affect his mind, so having a Taoist partner is still a very good thing. When he left home in the afternoon, he first flew to Aoyan Peak on his sword, released Shui and Shure, and went to see the first-level purple crystal scorpion left here. After feeding these little guys with monster meat and a few first-level spirit crystals, he went to find his grandfather. After all, the matter of Baoding Medicine Garden should be dealt with earlier. At least the spiritual medicine that is not in Lin Changqing's inner space should be transplanted earlier. He can't wait until he is about to leave the family to find his grandfather. By that time, it will be too late. And his space magic weapon needs to absorb spiritual energy so that the spiritual medicine inside can continue to grow. Therefore, Grandpa may have to make a second-order spirit gathering array, or even a third-order spirit gathering array. Therefore, Lin Changqing can't delay it. He must hand over the magic weapon to his grandfather as soon as possible. So he didn't dare to delay and went directly to Baikao Garden to find his grandfather. Fortunately, he found a sure thing. Aunt and grandfather were busy in Baikao Garden. When they saw him coming, Aunt joked, "Zio Kinger, aren't you in seclusion? Why did you come out so soon? And today you have a rare conscience. Are you coming to help Aunt with work?" Lin Changqing laughed dryly a few times, and then helped Aunt with work very attentively. If he came here, he would directly pull Grandpa away. If these tasks were left to his aunt alone, she would definitely find a chance to severely punish Lin Changqing. He could figure this out even if he used his toes to think. So he stayed to help with the work honestly, and since he had established his foundation. When he was practicing magic skills, he was more focused on practicing the 5-element escape technique, Zuanin water control technique, and thunder control technique. He had basically not practiced the Pian-inducing birth technique, and now he took this opportunity to practice it well, so Lin Changqing put aside the matter of looking for his grandfather. He worked seriously, and soon after 2 hours, all the work in Baikao Garden was finally done, and Lin Changqing directly pulled his grandfather and ran away. When his grandfather saw Lin Changqing like this, he knew that something must have happened again, and he didn't say much, so the grandfather and grandson went to the secret room again. After the two of them sat down, seeing that he looked mysterious, Grandpa couldn't help but ask, "Kinger, what's wrong? Did something happen?" Lin Changqing said proudly, "Grandpa is good, you will know after you take a look." So he took out the space magic weapon and cast a spell on it, and immediately a light gate appeared in front of the two. Grandpa opened his eyes wide and asked quickly, "Kinger, what is this?" Lin Changqing smiled and said, "You will know if you go in and take a look. Let's go." After that, he directly pulled Grandpa in and rushed into the Baoding Spiritual Medicine Garden in an instant. When Grandpa arrived in the Spiritual Medicine Garden and saw the spiritual medicines, he ran over to inspect them without Lin Changqing saying anything. Lin Changqing followed him and listened to him mumbling to himself to identify these spiritual medicines. Anyway, it seemed that Grandpa stayed beside each spiritual medicine for a while. Only after identifying the spiritual medicine did he move on to the next one. Looking at Grandpa's appearance, he was getting more and more excited. Seeing his grandfather happy, Lin Changqing was also very happy. After his grandfather finished looking, Lin Changqing pulled him into the yard and looked around. When he saw the place where the elixirs were stored, all the elixirs had turned into dregs. Especially when he saw that the Zifu Twangsun pill, such an important thing, was not left. For him, this loss was simply heartbreaking. Lin Changqing saw that his face turned pale. Knowing that he was the same as himself, he quickly opened his mouth to comfort him. Grandpa, you don't have to feel sad. These things have been around for so long. Even if their appearance is still intact, the medicinal effects inside must have almost disappeared. If you take such things, it may be harmful. So you don't need to feel sad for these things that don't belong to us. The most important thing now is to organize the spiritual medicines here and make use of this space. Grandpa felt much better after hearing this. He also knew that what his grandson said made sense, and forced himself not to think about the wasted elixirs. So he asked, "What's going on with the spiritual medicine space? What are your plans?" Lin Changqing was well prepared, so he explained, "This is my previous trophy. I knew it was a magic weapon. I felt that I couldn't use it in the short term, so I kept it aside and ignored it. During this retreat, I occasionally remembered it and took it out to refine it. I didn't expect that there was a spiritual medicine space inside. But this thing needs to absorb a lot of spiritual energy to continue to maintain the growth of the spiritual medicine inside. So, I can't carry it with me, so I have to give it to you, Grandpa, to deal with it." Chapter 382 The Last Meeting. Grandpa nodded. Lin Changqing continued, "Especially the spiritual medicine outside, the roots must be entangled together. This is where you have to do it. If I do it myself, those spiritual medicines will definitely cause a lot of damage, so you have to do it yourself." Grandpa didn't say it immediately after hearing it, but thought about it before speaking. "According to what you said, maintaining this space magic weapon requires a huge amount of spiritual energy. And here, the places with the most spiritual energy are used to build retreat rooms for the clan leader to practice and for the clan members to use when they build their foundation. If other places want to absorb a lot of spiritual energy, they need a gathering array, and I estimate that a third-order gathering array is needed to meet the needs of this space magic weapon. But if we set up a third-order gathering array, it will definitely consume a lot of spiritual energy from the family's spiritual vein. There may be nothing in the short term, but if it takes a long time, others will still find the abnormality." Lin Changqing also knew the situation. After all, there are so many medicine gardens and spiritual fields on Jiufeng Mountain, which also need spiritual energy to support. However, he believed that his grandfather would be able to properly handle this problem, so he didn't need to worry about anything. Lin Changqing took his grandfather for a walk in the yard, and then the two of them left the spiritual medicine space. Then he wiped off the various marks left on this space magic weapon, and then handed the tripod in his hand to his grandfather. He began to offer sacrifices, while Lin Changqing waited beside him, and by the way, he served as a guardian for his grandfather. Unexpectedly, the time for grandfather to offer sacrifices was longer than Lin Changqing, but he could only wait patiently. Fortunately, in the end, Grandpa also successfully completed the sacrifice, and he had thought about the waiting time for several hours. That is, to collect all the spiritual medicines, spiritual plants, and other spiritual seeds in the inner space as much as possible, and hand them all over to Grandpa. I believe that with his rich experience, he will definitely know what to plant to best meet the needs of his family. At this time, the time was almost up, so the grandfather and grandson left the secret room and went to Lin Changqing's parents for dinner. Grandpa left after finishing the spiritual meal. Lin Changqing knew that Grandpa must have been busy during this period of time, and now he should go back and start dealing with the spiritual medicines in the space magic weapon. He and Chen Ziyi chatted with his parents and aunt, and returned to their own yard when the time was almost up. The days passed one by one, and more than a month passed in the blink of an eye. Tomorrow, Lin Changqing and Chen Ziyi will set out with the clan leader and grandfather to Qingyuan Sect to meet up with their great-grandmother. Today is Lin Changqing's last day in the family, so he prepared Qingyuan tea early in the morning, and then flew directly to the family sutra pavilion. He had to say goodbye to his second grandfather. He was still in the air, and he saw his second grandfather from a long distance. He was still on the flat ground in front of the sutra pavilion, lying on a recliner reading, drinking tea, and basking in the sun, still so free and leisurely. Lin Changqing controlled the flying sword to land directly beside him, and said with a smile, "Hello, second grandpa. I'm here to see you again. You are the most leisurely one in the family." After that, he handed the prepared large box of green JT to the second grandpa. The second grandpa looked at him, took the green JT and looked at it, then laughed and scolded, "What leisurely? I have nothing to do, just waiting to die here. But you are okay this time. It's only been more than 2 months since you came to see me, which is much better than before. You can find a place to sit by yourself. If you want to drink tea, pour it yourself. Anyway, you don't know what politeness is." Lin Changqing laughed and really got a recliner out of his storage bag and put it next to the second grandpa. Then he poured himself a cup of spiritual tea, and after drinking it, he learned from the second grandpa to lie down and bask in the sun. After a long while, Lin Changqing did not speak. Instead, the second grandfather could not help but look at him, and then asked, "What is the matter with you coming here this time? You gave me so much second-level green JT at once, which is enough for an old man like me to drink for several years. You came here this time to say goodbye to me, right?" Lin Changqing sighed in his heart when he heard it. He didn't know how to say goodbye to the second grandfather just now. Unexpectedly, just a little more green JT was given to him, and he smelled the smell. He is really smart when he grows old. In this case, he simply said, "Second grandfather, you really have a keen eye. I came here this time to say goodbye to you. Tomorrow I will leave the family for a while. I will go to a very far place and I will not be able to come back in a short time." Second grandfather nodded and said, "You are still young, you should indeed go out more often. But outside, you have to be smarter. If you can't do it, find an opportunity to run away immediately. Don't be stupid and fight hard. But when you should go, you have to go, and when you should be decisive, you have to be decisive. Don't be like me. I regretted it when I was old, and I could only stay in the family and wait for death. By the way, where are you going this time, and how long will it take?" Lin Changqing thought for a while before saying, "This place should be very far away. I went there with my great-grandmother. I don't know what the specific situation is there now, but my great-grandmother said that the next time I come back, it must be 10 years later." Hearing what Lin Changqing said, second grandfather fell silent, because this meant that the farewell between the two today might be the last time they would see each other in this life. Because he was already 112 years old, and the maximum lifespan of the key refining stage was 120 years old, so he didn't have another 10 years. This also meant that even if second grandpa died, Lin Changqing would not be able to see him off for the last time. A sad atmosphere flowed between the two. Finally, second grandpa broke the silence, chuckled and said, Go and venture out, and see the world of immortal cultivation on behalf of second grandpa, which is more vast and boundless, and has more magnificent scenery. If you can step into a higher position in the future, it will be even better. I hope that one day you can advance to the foundation establishment stage, purple mansion, or even become a golden core true person, so that your second grandpa will have no regrets." Lin Changqing listened and nodded sadly, understanding his helplessness. After thinking about it, he didn't tell him that he had already advanced to the foundation establishment stage. He chatted with second grandpa for 2 or 3 hours. Second grandpa wanted to pass on his life experience to Lin Changqing, and he also humbly accepted the teachings. Chapter 383 Take the Pearl. However, all good things must come to an end. Lin Changqing finally reluctantly said goodbye to his second grandfather and turned away. He also had to go to his third grandfather. After all, his third grandfather had also taught him a lesson, and his age was almost the same as that of the second grandfather. So Lin Changqing had to make this trip, otherwise, he probably wouldn't be able to see him next time he came back. Life is so helpless. They will never see each other again. This is also the reason why he tried his best to get skills and resources for his family. He didn't want to watch his family die in front of him one day. And he couldn't do anything, looking helpless. So, this is also the reason why he wanted to venture into the Zuanian continent, all for resources, and for yourself and your family. When he arrived at the family school, classes were still going on inside. Lin Changqing didn't want to disturb them, so he waited outside for a while. But the three little guys inside were so excited when they saw him that they wanted to run out immediately. After waiting for a long time for the third grandfather to announce the end of get out of class, the three of them ran out and shouted to him, "Hello, ninth brother, hello, ninth brother, hello, ninth brother." Lin Changqing was amused by them. Since they were so enthusiastic, he couldn't be stingy, right? After responding to them, he took out 9 bottles of pills from his storage bag. They were all low-grade key-gathering pills he had refined. He gave each of them 3 bottles. He couldn't use them anyway, so he might as well give them to these clan brothers and make a good relationship with them. He sent them away after giving them the pills. Otherwise, if they shouted ninth brother again, he wouldn't have any low-level magic tools to give to these little guys. Third grandpa came out and looked at him happily and said, "Xiaoqinger, are you here to give me some spiritual wine?" Lin Changqing also nodded and said with a smile, "Yes, yes, yes. I know you like it, so I brought it to you specially. But there is not much, you have to drink it sparingly." After that, he took out several pots of spiritual peach wine and longlong fruit wine left in the storage bag. The ones that were not finished last time were all here. Anyway, if he wanted it, Su Miniang would naturally brew it for him, so these were given to third grandpa first. Third grandpa, who received 7 or 8 pots of spiritual wine, was now smiling, obviously very happy, and hurriedly put everything into the storage bag. It seemed as if he was afraid that Lin Changqing would take it back. After collecting it, he came to his senses and knew that Lin Changqing must have something else to do this time. So he asked, "Xiaoqinger, your third grandfather was busy with his spiritual wine and forgot about you. Is there anything you need to come here today?" Lin Changqing learned from the experience and lessons just now, but he didn't dare to tell the third grandfather everything, so he nodded and said, "Yes, third grandfather. I came here to say goodbye to you today. Tomorrow, Yanner and I will leave the family and accompany the great-grandmother to travel for a while. I shouldn't be back so soon, so I came here to say goodbye to you." The third grandfather heard it and said happily, "Not bad. You are thoughtful. You know to say goodbye to an old guy like me. This time you can travel with the great-grandmother. You will definitely see and learn a lot of things that you can't usually touch. This is a very good opportunity. And it's rare that the great-grandmother will support you this time, so you too must perform well when you are with the great-grandmother. The most important thing is that you have to be smart outside and pay attention to safety, but don't weaken the reputation of the Lin family." Lin Changqing quickly agreed, chatted with the third grandfather for a while, and then said goodbye and left. To be honest, Lin Changqing was also relieved. He was afraid that he would be exposed accidentally, even though it was a white lie. After leaving the family academy, Lin Changqing flew straight to Aoyan Peak. He wanted to put Chuai, Chuer and the others, as well as the first-level purple crystal scorpions, into the spirit beast bracelet. Chuai saw Lin Changqing from a distance, so he immediately came to meet him. After Lin Changqing played with it for a while, he landed at Aoyan Peak. Unexpectedly, his sister Lin Changqing was here, but she looked a little unhappy. So Lin Changqing stepped forward and greeted her. "Why is someone pouting? You can hang a bottle of oil on your mouth." "Who made my sister unhappy?" When Lin Changqing saw her brother coming, she felt very reluctant to see her brother for at least 10 years. Suddenly, she couldn't help but throw herself into Lin Changqing's arms, crying, sobbing and saying, "Stinky Lin Changqing, I don't want to be away from you and my sister-in-law for so long. Can you please not go? Stay in the family, okay?" After hearing this, Lin Changqing realized that Lin Changqing was unhappy for this reason, and suddenly felt that his sister was not loved in vain. He didn't want to be away from his family for so long. If it was ordinary resources, he might still be able to find them here. But some key resources for advancement and breakthrough are too difficult to get in this place. According to the great-grandmother, although these things are also rare in the outside world, they are relatively more in quantity. But he believes that with his strength, he will definitely be able to get them, so Lin Changqing must go out. This time, he has found a way out for his family and the family. He gently hugged his sister who was dropping pearls and soaking his front, and comforted her. "Linger. You don't understand, your brother must go this time. Although we will not be able to see each other for 10 years this time, I want to go so that our family can be together better in the future. Don't cry, brother has prepared a very precious gift for you. Do you want to see it? This is what you helped me feed the spirit beast for more than 2 months in exchange. If you don't take the pearls, then I won't take them out, and I won't give them to you." Hearing this, Lin Changqing glared at him fiercely, wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, and wiped away the tears on her face. Then she said, "Stinky Lin Changqing, give me my gift quickly, or I will go to my sister-in-law to complain." Seeing that she finally put away her magical powers, Lin Changqing smiled and took out a piece of top-grade fire spirit stone ore from the storage bag. Lin Changqing has opened all of this thing in his inner space, and it is estimated that it can be exchanged for about 30 or 40 top-grade spirit stones. But for the inner space, there is not much difference between 30 or 40 acres more or less. There is still a lot of space inside. So Lin Changqing thought about it and decided to open it up and give it to his sister. With the help of this thing, she should be able to build a foundation faster. Chapter 384 Smuggling. Sister Lin Changqing, a money grubber, didn't know what this beautiful red fire-attributed spiritual stone ore was when she saw it. Besides, her brother had given her a piece of fire-attributed medium-grade spiritual stone ore before, and she had been saving it and hadn't used it up yet. Unexpectedly, her brother gave her another more powerful one, so she was so happy that she couldn't help but scream and rush to Lin Changqing again. She started to drop pearls again and sobbed, "Brother, you're so good to me, I don't want you to leave." Lin Changqing saw her like this and couldn't help teasing her. "What's the matter? Why don't you agree to let me leave?" Lin Changqing nodded seriously and said, "Of course, you've been away from us for so long. I'll have to receive so many fewer gifts. I'll be at a loss then, so I don't agree to you leaving us." Lin Changqing laughed out loud when he heard this. He knew that Lin Changqing said that on purpose. He rubbed her little head and said, I know. It's just a gift. Next time I come back, I'll bring you a big gift. You won't have to forget your share." Only then did Lin Changqing come out of Lin Changqing's arms, wiped away her tears, and then took the beautiful red spirit stone ore and studied it over and over again. Lin Changqing couldn't help but ordered, "I gave you this thing for cultivation. You must not show it off, otherwise, I won't give you anything next time." Lin Changqing was studying it happily. When she heard her brother say this, she couldn't help but roll her eyes at him, and then she said, "Stinky Lin Changqing, do you think I'm a fool? I hid the middle grade one you gave me before, and no one knew about it. I only took it out for cultivation. Don't say that this time it's a top grade one, it must be hidden more secretly. How could I show it off?" Lin Changqing was completely relieved when he heard her say this. This time is different from the last time, and the value is at least 100 times different. Now that his sister understands the importance of this thing, he won't bother her anymore. He went to communicate with Chui and Chur and wanted to put them into the spirit beast bracelet. Unexpectedly, Chur heard that he was leaving for a long time. She actually told him that she wanted to go and see a few more children. Lin Changqing could only agree. In that case, he simply didn't put the first and second days of the new year into the spirit beast bracelet, and let them all go and see the children. He also agreed with them that they would come to the family square to find him tomorrow morning, and then he would go and collect all the first-level purple crystal scorpions. He took his sister and sent her to Chenzilaya, and Lin Changqing went to find his grandfather himself. He wanted to give all the 100-year-old red fruit wine brewed by Su Miniang to his grandfather. This time, Lin Changqing found him at his grandfather's house, so the grandfather and grandson entered the secret room again. As soon as he sat down, Lin Changqing kept taking out red fruit wine from the storage bag, and took a total of more than a dozen pots. He asked Su Miniang to brew all the red fruits that had matured recently into spirit wine, so there were so many pots of red fruit wine. After taking a quick look, the grandfather nodded and put them all away. Then Lin Changqing took out another storage bag, handed it to Grandpa, and explained, "Grandpa, there are hundreds of drops of first and second order heavy water in it. My mother needs these resources for cultivation. When the time comes, you can find a suitable opportunity to give it to her. There is also a large jade box in it, which contains the more precious spiritual seeds in my hand. I have marked them all, so you can understand them at a glance. You can arrange them according to your wishes." Grandpa nodded after taking it, and then took out a storage bag and handed it to Lin Changqing. He said, "All the spiritual medicines in the Baoding medicine garden are in it. I have prepared 2 plants of each for you. You keep them." Lin Changqing nodded, put away the storage bag, and waited for an opportunity to send it back to the inner space for planting. At this time, Grandpa smiled and looked at Lin Changqing again, and continued to say, "When you gave me the space magic weapon that day, I suddenly thought of an idea, which was to borrow this magic weapon, put the clan members in it, and secretly take them there. Later, I thought it was too risky, and finally decided to give up for the time being and wait for you to come back to see the situation before making plans." When Lin Changqing heard this, he quickly explained to Grandpa the origin of this space magic weapon and Wunayaoman. He didn't bring this thing to Zuanayan continent because he was afraid that the lineage of Zhao Xining of Wunayaoman would have some special means to sense this space magic weapon at close range. That's why he didn't bring it with him, so that Grandpa would also know its origin. In the future, if he really used this space magic weapon to send the clan members to Zuanayan continent, he would have to be careful. Grandpa knew that this thing originally came from Zuanayan continent, so he also understood that he must be more cautious when using it in the future. The grandfather and grandson communicated for a while, and some arrangements for the family, including the packaging of the mother and aunt. Grandpa meant to wait until the mother also built a foundation. Lin Changqing's father led Lin Changqing's mother and aunt to form a monster hunting team. They went to the outskirts of Qingyuan Mountain to train for a period of time. They were not required to hunt any second-level monsters. But at least they had to have the means to match the foundation-building cultivators. They could not have the cultivation of the foundation building period without the means of the foundation building period. Lin Changqing thought about it and finally agreed. He understood that what his grandfather said was very reasonable. The road of cultivating immortals is so long, and there will inevitably be ups and downs in life. At least there must be corresponding means to protect himself, so that he can feel more at ease. Besides, he had just returned from Qingyuan Mountain, and he didn't think there was anything in the outskirts that could be dangerous to 3 foundation-building cultivators. Unless he met someone like him who could fight across levels, he agreed. The grandfather and grandson chatted for a long time, and when the time was about the same, the two set out to the yard of Lin Changqing's parents to have dinner with the family. Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya will leave the family tomorrow, so his mother and aunt specially prepared a very sumptuous dinner tonight. Especially the 8 treasures chicken soup that Lin Changqing likes very much. And they made a full pot of it, so that he could enjoy it all at once. During the meal, his mother and aunt picked up a lot of dishes for the two of them. Lin Changqing understood what they meant, that a mother worries about her son even when he is far away. So he ate all the dishes cleanly, and used this way to comfort his mother and aunt. This meal took more than an hour, although they didn't say anything. But this also made him more determined in his inner thoughts, and he must let all his family members accompany him on the immortal road. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 385 Return to Qingyuan. After everyone finished the spiritual meal, the family gathered together and chatted for a long time. It was almost midnight before everyone was ready to leave. Although his mother had not told him anything, she finally gave them a storage bag. She told him that these were some things that his mother and aunt had prepared for him and Chen Ziya. Neither of them refused. This was the intention of his mother and aunt, and they could not refuse. Then Lin Chang also took out the things he had prepared long ago, a storage bag and a spiritual beast bag. In the storage bag were several ordinary style medium to high level attack and defense spiritual weapons without any marks. These ordinary style spiritual weapons he prepared could ensure that when they were used, they would not be easily recognized by others. In addition, there were several small jade bottles in the storage bag, each of which contained a single serving of 100 flowers drunk in soul wine. One of them was specially left for his sister Lin Changqing. After all, he had promised her at the time, but she had been making rapid progress, and she was not suitable for taking this thing in the short term. So he gave it to his mother for safekeeping first. There was also a jade slip left by Lin Changqing in it, and all the things he wanted to explain were recorded in it. The spiritual beast bag contained the nest of mutated golden spotted topaz bees that Lin Changqing asked the queen bee to raise. One nest of topaz bees was enough for the time being in the inner space, so this nest was also handed over to his mother to deal with. He originally wanted his parents, aunt and sister not to see them off tomorrow. But he also knew that it would be useless to say it, and they would definitely not listen to him, so he simply did not say it. The main reason was that he was worried that this farewell was too sad and would affect his mother's foundation building. This was the same reason why he and Chen Ziya left the Chen family without saying goodbye at that time. At that time, He was also worried about affecting Chen Ziya's foundation building. Chen Ziya and he returned to their own yard. Although they had to set off early tomorrow morning, they still had to continue their usual training tasks. Therefore, Lin Changqing entered his own training room, activated the restrictions and formations on the door, and then entered the inner space. At this time, in the inner space, Lu Yaoguang and Lu Xiaomi had successfully advanced to the second level more than a month ago. And Lin Changqing followed the usual practice, and rode Lu Yaoguang in the inner space, using the wind escape technique to run several laps, until the master and servant could cooperate perfectly. This was done to ensure that there would be no problems when it was needed to help on the road in the future. Zhao Liao also successfully completed the foundation building 2 or 3 days ago. At this time, she was using magic power to temper the meridians and nourish the body, so Lin Changqing did not disturb her. He directly handed the storage bag given by his grandfather to Su Miniang, and specifically reminded her that there were high-level spiritual medicines of the second and third levels in it. They must be properly arranged, especially paying attention to the planting distance, so that the underground roots will not be intertwined. After Su Miniang agreed seriously and went down to deal with the spiritual medicines, Lin Changqing began to look at his beloved deer. Now there are 7 3-color deer in the inner space, 4 of which have been promoted to the second level, while Lu Xiaoling is now in the late first level, Lu Xiaokeng is in the middle of the first level, and Lu Xiaomin is in the early first level. Lu Xiaomin is still too young, and usually he is not responsible for stimulating the birth of any spiritual medicine. He is responsible for playing and acting like a spoiled child to Lin Changqing. Such a beautiful and elegant creature, with a pair of cute big eyes, every time he sees it. Lin Changqing can't help but stroke its fur. Anyway, he has to satisfy his urge to stroke it, just like others stroke cats and dogs. Those deer that have been promoted to the second level are too big, and it doesn't feel good to stroke them. Although stroking their fur feels good, it feels a little worse. Since there are 4 second-level 3-color deer, more spiritual medicines and spiritual plants can be induced in the inner space. The most significant effect is that the number of mature 100-year-old red fruits has increased a lot. Of course, other spiritual medicines and spiritual plants are also taken into account. After all, this is the main development direction set by Lin Changqing. Anyway, his main focus in the foundation building period is to take 100-year-old red fruits instead of elixirs as the main way of cultivation. After giving all the 3-colored deer the nurturing spirit pill, he also gave the queen bee a pill that turned into water and sent it to the entrance of the hive. Then Lin Changqing withdrew from the inner space and returned to the practice room. He officially began his daily magic skills in the practice of Thunder Sutra. Early the next morning, Lin Changqing, Chen Ziya and his family reunited and came to the family square together. At this time, Shuai and Shua were already hovering nearby. Lin Changqing summoned them all down and put them into the spirit beast bracelet. After a while, the clan leader came. After everyone greeted the clan leader, Lin Changqing didn't want to be too sad, so he hugged his family and then set off on his grandfather's flying boat. After the flying boat left the family's mountain protection formation, Lin Changqing looked back and couldn't help sighing in his heart. If there is nothing special, the fastest time to come back next time will be 10 years later. Calm down your emotions. The 4 of you have run this road twice, so you are quite familiar with it. In addition, the clan leader did not hide his aura along the way, so he did not encounter any other messy things. And with such an obvious warning, if someone still dared to jump out, there were only 2 possibilities. One was that those people were really blind. The other was that they were extremely powerful and believed that they could eat them. Anyway, they were very smooth this time and did not encounter anything. 3 days later, the 4 people arrived at Qingyuan City. This time, they did not delay in Qingyuan City and flew directly to the mountain gate of Qingyuan sect because Chen Ziya is still an inner disciple of Qingyuan sect. It is quite convenient. Several people just registered with the monks on duty at the mountain gate, and then flew directly to Changsha Peak. However, before they arrived at Changsha Peak, grandmother Chen Jie was already waiting for them at the gate of the yard. After the 4 people greeted each other, the group went directly into the yard because the great-grandmother was already waiting for them. This time, the great-grandmother still received them at the pavilion in the back garden. After seeing the great-grandmother, the group greeted her very respectfully. Grandson greets great-grandmother. Lin Changqing politely saluted the great-grandmother. Alright, we are all family, no need to be so polite. Just find a place to sit. After everyone responded, they found a suitable place to sit. Chapter 386 12 Superpowers. At this time, the grandmother and great-grandmother were both smiling and looking at Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya. Lin Changqing was thick-skinned, so he didn't feel anything special, but Chen Ziya blushed when the two grandmothers looked at her. In the end, the great-grandmother smiled and waved, "Ziya, come here. It's been a long time since I tasted your cooking skills. Show us your skills," Chen Ziya happily responded, then went over to make Yuluchan tea for everyone. The great-grandmother continued to say to Lin Changqing, "Ziya, are you ready? It will take at least 10 years for you to come back." Lin Changqing replied with a smile, "Grandmother, don't worry, your grandson is ready. And the family is settled. It's a good time to take advantage of my youth to look around and explore. Anyway, with my qualifications, I need more resources than others to advance, so I must go outside to get more resources. And this time, there may be other unexpected encounters." After hearing what he said, the two grandmothers nodded, knowing that Lin Changqing had a clear understanding of himself. They obviously agreed with his statement. Grandmother Chen Jiai looked at her, who was very optimistic about her grandson-in-law, and took out 2 jade slips from the storage bracelet with satisfaction, giving one to Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya. He explained, "The contents of this jade slip in your hands are some things summarized by the sect. You must take a close look at it. Xuan'an continent is vast and boundless. There are 12 superpowers with more than 3 divine transformation cultivators. Not to mention other forces as numerous as the stars, and the activities of Qingyuan sector and the scope of influence are also very limited. After all, the strength of Qingyuan sector is really nothing, so you must be careful after you go there. We will set off tomorrow morning, so tonight, you should take a good look at the contents and remember them in your heart. I also want to remind you that the strength of the cultivators there is stronger than ours at the same level, so you must pay attention." Lin Changqing and the others quickly agreed seriously, knowing that this thing must be very important. Of course, for Lin Changqing, such an important thing, he will definitely read it carefully. At least it is good to have a basic understanding of Xuan'an continent in advance, so that you will not know anything when you go there. At this time, Grandmother Chen Jiai continued, "Ziya is so smart and strong, I am not too worried. I am worried about Ziya, and I didn't go there this time, so Ziya, you must take good care of Ziya, understand?" After hearing this, Lin Changqing hurriedly said, "Grandma, don't worry. Yao is my Taoist partner, I will definitely do my best to take good care of her." Lin Changqing was thinking at this time, since the cultivators of the same level over there are more powerful than those in Qingyuan, then the 36 purple crystal scorpions are not enough. A batch of second-level purple crystal scorpions should be cultivated, and then some will be placed next to Chen Ziya, otherwise he will not be very relieved. At this time, the great-grandmother also said, "We will set off at noon tomorrow. All the cultivators going there will gather at the Sect Square, which is the square you went to last time. You don't have to be too nervous. After arriving at Xuan'an continent, you will stay in the Qingyuan Sect's territory for a while. When the time comes, you will have contact with the cultivators over there, and you will have a clear idea of what is going on. Now you don't have to put too much pressure on yourself. Just know that this is the case." Lin Changqing and the others nodded and agreed. Anyway, as long as they are not cultivators over there, they are all at the level of the core disciples of the Qingyuan sect, and he is confident that he can deal with them. It is estimated that at most they are at the level of the inner disciples of the Qingyuan sect, or the elite disciples. When he deals with it himself, he can only make one more move, and he will definitely kill them. Anyway, no matter how powerful they are, it shouldn't be too exaggerated. What we have to worry about is Chen Ziya. Her strength is ordinary, and Lin Changqing is most worried about her. At this time, Chen Ziya's spiritual tea has been brewed, and a cup is served to everyone. After tasting it, everyone praised it. The great-grandmother said to Chen Ziya again, "Ziya, after having a Taoist partner, you can't relax too much in your cultivation, understand? And the study and deduction of the formation can't be left behind. When you advance to the purple mansion, combine the formation with your life magic weapon. At that time, you will be able to set up a large formation at will, fight one against many, or even fight across levels, so you still have to keep going, understand?" Chen Ziya nodded and said with a smile, "Grandmother, don't worry, the cultivation has not fallen behind. As for the study and deduction of the formation, grandson has never relaxed. Moreover, during this period of time, I have accumulated some questions about the formation, and I want to ask my grandmother and great-grandmother. The great-grandmother was also very pleased to hear this, so she nodded and said, "That's good. Then you can stay at your grandmother's place at night and let her answer your questions." After all, the next meeting will be at least 10 years later. Chen Ziyi also knew this situation, so she happily agreed. At this time, the great-grandmother asked the patriarch about various things in the Lin family, and the patriarch replied one by one. Finally, she told the clan leader and Lin Changqing's grandfather that during her absence from Qingyuan sect, the Lin family should be more cautious. But there is no need to be timid. If there is anything that you can't solve, you can find Chen Ziyi's grandmother, Chen Qiyi. The clan leader and grandfather both agreed seriously and thanked the great-grandmother and the others. Then the clan leader and grandfather told Lin Changqing and Chen Ziyi a few more words, and then they told them to leave. The great-grandmother asked them to stay in Changsha Peak for one night, but they refused. This time they also wanted to see how the Lin family's shop here is doing now. See if there are any problems that need to be solved, and it is not convenient to live here, so they refused and left. Everyone sent them to the gate of the yard, and finally grandmother Chen Jiyi sent them out of Qingyuan sect. After saying goodbye to the great-grandmother, Lin Changqing and Chen Ziyi returned to the Tingfang Ziaozu on the mountainside. No one has come for more than 2 months, and the yard is a bit messy, so the two of them work together to clean it up. Lin Changqing will live here tonight. After Chen Ziyi accompanied Lin Changqing for a while, she left because she thought her grandmother had returned. Chapter 387 Pretending to be confused. After Chen Ziyi left, Lin Changqing was left alone. After 3 days of running, Lin Changqing still felt a little tired and was about to take a rest in the room. Unexpectedly, someone at the door triggered the bell at this time. He was moved, knowing that there were not many people here. Lin Changqing only thought about it for a moment and guessed who was coming. So he hurried over to open the door. Standing at the door were really Huyana and Zhao Mingxia. However, at this time, Huyana looked at Lin Changqing with extreme resentment, and she was thinner than before. Zhao Mingxia was still the same. When she saw Lin Changqing, she shouted happily, "Brother Lin! We are here to see you," and Huyana shouted softly, "Brother Gao." Lin Changqing had already guessed what was going on. It should be that she knew through some unknown channel that he and Chen Ziyi had become Taoist couples. That's why it became like this, but he couldn't say anything. He couldn't say to her, "Sister Hu, thank you for your kindness, but I like Sister Chen." So now he still had to pretend to be confused and pretend that he knew nothing, so as to avoid embarrassment to each other. After a while, everything should be back to normal. Anyway, he and Chen Ziyi have become Taoist partners, and junior sister Hu should also put that thought in her heart to an end. "Two junior sisters, come in quickly. How did you know we came to Qingyuan sect?" After saying that, he let them in. Lin Changqing led them, and the three of them sat in the pavilion in the yard. He began to take out the tea set and prepare to make tea for the guests. At this time, Zhao Mingxia said with a smile, "Of course we don't know when senior brother Lin will come to Qingyuan sect. But we know that senior brother will definitely come to the sect in advance and meet up with us, so we have been here to look for you since yesterday. We came here to try our luck again today, but we didn't expect that senior brother is already here this time. By the way, why didn't I see senior sister Chen?" Upon hearing this, Lin Changqing laughed dryly and said, "It turns out that the two junior sisters will come once tomorrow. You are so thoughtful." Yatter went to accompany her grandmother. It just so happens that she has some questions about the formation to ask, and after leaving here this time, the next time they meet will be 10 years later. So she hurried to accompany her grandmother. After that, he took out a jade box and prepared to get some green jade tea and put it in the tea set. Seeing his amateurish look, Zhao Mingxia stood up and took the jade box, saying, "Brother, let me do it." "This time, I'll let you do it," Lin Changqing said a little embarrassedly. "That's not good. You're a guest, so why should I ask you to do it?" Zhao Mingxia said with a smile, "I'm not so particular, so don't mind it, brother. Just sit aside and try my cooking skills later." Hearing her say this, Lin Changqing let her do it. With their friendship, this little thing was actually nothing. But only now did he feel that Zhao Mingxia's order was a little strange, as if she had already established her foundation, but there was something not quite right. So he couldn't help but ask directly, "Junior sister Zhao, what's wrong with you? Why do you feel that your aura is a little strange? Hearing Lin Changqing ask this, Zhao Mingxia knew that he had noticed her situation, so she was even happier. So he explained proudly. Do you even need to ask? Of course it's because I want to go there with you. I just came out of retreat 2 days ago. Now the spiritual energy in my danshan has liquefied, which means I have already established my foundation, but I haven't used my magic power to temper my meridians and nourish my body. So you look a little strange. My master said that this journey normally takes 5 to 6 months. By then, I will use this time to complete the 100-day foundation building, which is more than enough. In this way, when I get there, I will be a formal foundation building cultivator. What do you think, Senior Brother Lin? Are you happy that I can go there with you this time? Lin Changqing really admired her boldness, but they had already made this decision, so he couldn't pour cold water on her. So he smiled and said, of course I'm happy. Junior sister, we are one of our own after all. It's definitely better to have you with me than with a stranger. Zhao Mingxia is such a cheerful person, but when she heard her senior brother inadvertently say the 3 words one of our own, her face got a little hot. Fortunately, others couldn't see it. She also knew that Lin Changqing and Chen Ziyai had become Taoist couples, and she had already accepted this fact in her heart, and she quickly adjusted her mentality. She had already thought it through, and just regarded senior brother Lin as her best friend, so today, she could talk and laugh with Lin Changqing normally. Lin Changqing glanced at Yana again, and found that she had not spoken since she came in. But as the host, he couldn't ignore the guests. So he could only ask, I see that junior sister who seems to be a little thin recently. Are you so happy that you can't sleep when you think about going to Zuanayan continent? Yana heard him talking nonsense in such a serious manner, and couldn't help but roll her eyes at him and said, yes. Yes. It turns out that senior brother Go knows me best. He knows that I am like this now because I can't sleep. Yana's answer was really too good. Lin Changqing really didn't expect that he could answer like this, and he pulled the problem back to the essence. Lin Changqing couldn't help but admire her intelligence, but he had no choice but to continue pretending to be confused. Well, don't worry. We will set off tomorrow, so junior sister shouldn't be unable to sleep. Lin Changqing continued to lie with his eyes open. Yana was furious when she heard this, and she picked up the spiritual tea that Zhao Mingxia had brought over and started drinking it. She really didn't want to pay any attention to Lin Changqing at all. Zhao Mingxia also tried hard not to laugh, and also picked up the spiritual tea and started drinking it. In order to hide the smile on her face that could no longer be suppressed, so as not to embarrass the two of them. Lin Changqing didn't dare to talk to Yana anymore, and turned to talk to Zhao Mingxia about alchemy. Junior sister Zhao, what is your current level of alchemy? Can you make a second-level pill? Zhao Mingxia got excited when she talked about alchemy, because this was her specialty. So he couldn't help but said proudly, Brother Lin, when I reach the great perfection of key refining, I will be able to refine second-level inferior elixirs. After I formally build my foundation, there will be no problem. Brother, do you have any elixirs that need to be refined? Hurry up and take them out for me to see. If I'm not sure, I can ask Master or Grandmaster for help to refine them. Chapter 388 Departure to Zuanayan. Lin Changqing said with a smile, No. The main reason is that I have recently started to learn alchemy, but I have just learned how to make key-gathering pills, which is just the beginning. Zhao Mingxia then said with a sense of enlightenment, so that's the case. No wonder I smelled a faint smell of medicine on my senior brother just now. Senior brother, how did you think of making pills yourself? Didn't junior sister who helped me make a lot of alchemy furnaces last time? And it just so happens that I have planted a lot of main medicines for key-gathering pills, so I tried it myself. I should still need to trouble junior sister to help me make pills, Lin Changqing explained. Hearing Lin Changqing say this, Zhao Mingxia was satisfied. At least she knew that she could help Lin Changqing, and she was very happy. So the two of them discussed about alchemy and exchanged experiences. Of course, Zhao Mingxia was talking more, and Lin Changqing was absorbing her experience. Fortunately, the two did not ignore Yana, and often talked to her, and Yana herself gradually adapted to it. The three of them chatted for more than an hour. When it was almost time, Zhao Mingxia and Yana said goodbye and left together. Lin Changqing sent them to the gate of the yard. After confirming that they had left, he breathed a sigh of relief. It was a little tormenting just now. The worst thing was that Chen Ziyai was not here. If she was here, he would not be so uncomfortable. Fortunately, it was all over now. After activating the restrictions in the yard, he returned to the room. He wanted to take a rest, but now he was more energetic. So Lin Changqing started his daily practice tasks. After completing them all, he took out the jade slip that his grandmother Chen Jie had given him just now, put it on his forehead, and read it carefully. After reading it for a long time, he couldn't help but sighed. This was a jade slip prepared by Qingyuan sect for all disciples who were going to Zuanayan continent. The front part was a part of the map provided by Qingyuan sect. The area of this map was thousands of times larger than the territory occupied by the 6 Qingyuan sects. The sect specifically noted that the map provided now is only a small part of Zuanayan continent. There are various colored marks on the map, representing sects, countries, families, markets, mountains, etc. The information is relatively comprehensive. The latter part is some things that need to be paid attention to and known. There are dozens of items listed. Lin Changqing read them all carefully twice and knew them well. He also found the station of Qingyuan sect on the map. It seems that the territory occupied is 1 or 2 times larger than that of Qingyuan. He also studied other forces near it and found that the 6 sects of Qingyuan are far away there, and there are many other forces in between. He thought that the 6 sects would be together there. It seems that after arriving there, we need to travel a long way. After putting away the jade slip, I thought about it and decided not to enter the inner space. I should be careful in Qingyuan sect now. Let's find an opportunity to let the purple crystal scorpion advance to the 2nd level after leaving Qingyuan sect anyway. There is no rush now. After all, it takes 5 or 6 months to be at sea, and there is also the time for traveling in the middle, which takes several months in total. Early the next morning, after Lin Changqing and Chen Ziyi met up, their grandmother Chen Jie and Mu Qingrong took them to the sect square. At this time, Lin Changqing knew that Mu Qingrong went with them, and her grandmother also wanted to give her a chance to help take care of them. When the 4 of them arrived, there were already quite a few people in the square, and people were coming around one after another. However, they were mainly in the foundation building stage, and there were also a small number of purple mansion stage cultivators, but they all had their own circles. Mu Qingrong stood with them for a while, then went to find her friends, and at this time Hu Yuna and Zhao Mingxia also came. After the women met, it became lively. Lin Changqing observed the cultivators of Qingyuan sect and found that there were 30 or 40 cultivators who were like them, almost just building their foundation. There were more than 200 cultivators in the middle and later stages of foundation building, and Lin Changqing saw more than a dozen in the purple mansion stage, and there were still people rushing over before the time was up. It seems that there should be at least 300 people traveling together this time. If a cultivator's ticket costs 50,000 spiritual stones, then 15 million spiritual stones are needed here. After a while, when no one came, a high-level cultivator's spiritual sense swept over. Then the great-grandmother's voice suddenly came out, "Time is up. All the disciples who are traveling are ready to board the ship. Then find an empty room to rest. Those who are in the foundation building stage should reach the 1st or 2nd level, and those who are in the purple mansion stage should reach the 3rd level." As soon as the voice fell, a treasure ship with a 3-story pavilion appeared in the sky, and it quickly grew larger in Lin Changqing's eyes. Soon it became a behemoth over 200 meters long and landed in the middle of the square. At this time, everyone began to board the ship one after another. Grandmother Chen Jie knew that they were about to leave, so she said to Lin Changqing again, "Xiao Kinger, Xiaoya is in your hands, you must take good care of her." Lin Changqing said seriously, "Grandmother, don't worry, I will take good care of Yatter. Nothing will happen, we will be back in 10 years. Chen Jie nodded, and said to Chen Zilaya, "Xiaoya, you must also take good care of Xiao Kinger, understand? Especially when you are away from home, if there is anything, you must listen to Xiao Kinger more, he will definitely be able to solve it. Understand?" Chen Zilaya also agreed seriously, "Grandmother, don't worry. King Jenna have traveled together for so long, I know what to do. You really don't have to worry." Chen Jie nodded, and didn't say anything, just waved her hand, indicating that they could start boarding. After Lin Changqing and Chen Zilai respectfully saluted to the grandmother, they boarded the ship with Yuna, Zhao Mingxia and others. Many people chose the 2nd and 3rd floors, but the 4 of them were on the 1st floor, and found 4 rooms that were almost connected. Lin Changqing and Chen Zilai's rooms are connected. They had discussed this early in the morning. Each of them would have a room first, so that it would be convenient for cultivation and they would not disturb each other. When they wanted to practice the Yin-Yang Harmony Sutra at night, they would live in one room. And yesterday, according to the great-grandmother, it would take about 10 days to get from here to the Xian'an sect, so this time could not be wasted. After a while, Lin Changqing felt that the treasure ship was rising little by little and gradually began to accelerate. Knowing that his journey to the Xuan'an continent had officially begun at this time. Chapter 389 Jiazi Trial. Not long after the treasure ship started to accelerate, Chen Ziya came over. She was still in high spirits as they had just started their journey. She deliberately pulled Lin Changqing to the deck outside and looked at the gradually shrinking Qinghai city below. She probably knew that she would not be able to return in a short time, so she was a little reluctant to leave. Lin Changqing told Chen Ziya about Tu Yuna and Zhao Mingxia coming to Tingfang Xiaozu as guests yesterday. Now that they are Taoist couples, such things should be made known to the hostess. As they were talking, Hu Yuna and Zhao Mingxia happened to come over again. The three female cultivators became lively again. After looking at the scenery outside for a while, they returned to Lin Changqing's room. Then Chen Ziya began to take out the tea set from the storage bag and fiddled with it. She was preparing to make tea to entertain the guests. At this time, Zhao Mingxia said with a smile, "I haven't formally congratulated senior brother Lin and senior sister Chen for getting married. Congratulations. Congratulations. But you two have quietly become a couple, don't you owe us a wedding banquet? When are you going to make it up to us?" Hu Yana also smiled and nodded. After last night, she had adjusted a lot. At least she knew that she had to hide some of her emotions in front of Chen Ziya. And said, "That's right. We must make up for our wounded hearts. I think a wedding banquet is not enough." Chen Ziya actually knew that Hu Yana was interested in Lin Changqing. At least last time, her Master Ziyan, wanted to propose marriage to Lin Changqing in front of her great-grandmother. This incident left the deepest impression on her. She was scared to death at the time. I guess she will never forget this incident in her life. Fortunately, she and Lin Changqing are now a couple, and everyone is friends, so she doesn't care so much. So she smiled and said while making tea, "I'm sorry, two junior sisters, it was indeed a bit hasty. At that time, we only invited a few elders to the scene to pay our respects, and did not notify other relatives and friends. However, this matter was indeed our fault. After we arrive at the territory of Xian'an sect this time, let's find an opportunity to treat the two junior sisters to a good banquet. As for junior sister Hu, if you think it is not enough, then you can go to your senior brother Gao and let him compensate you." When Chen Ziya said this, everyone laughed, because Hu Yana had always called Lin Changqing senior brother Gao and it had never changed. At this time, Lin Changqing didn't know what to say, so he just laughed dryly a few times, and then asked everyone to drink tea. Fortunately, after Zhao Mingxia drank tea, she spoke again. "It seems that we were in this room of the treasure ship last time, and we were going to divide the spoils. I didn't expect that we would gather here again and go to Xuan'an continent together. It's not easy. I will ask my senior brother to take care of me when the time comes." Lin Changqing knew that she was referring to the extreme foundation building, so he smiled and said, "We are all good friends, so there is no need to say such polite words. When we get there, let's support each other." Lin Changqing's tyrannical strength is obvious to all of them. At that time in the Jiang secret realm, he was an invincible existence that swept through the key refining stage. Now that he has reached the foundation building stage, they believe that he will definitely not be bad. In fact, when he gets there, Lin Changqing has his own preliminary plan. He will not stay in the territory of Qinghai sect for too long. He will leave after adapting for a period of time. He will go to Xuan'an continent to make a good start. His goal this time is very clear, which is to get resources. Including the resources for Lin Changqing's upgrade, and the resources for himself and his family to advance in the future. These are all his goals. Of course, before leaving, Lin Changqing would definitely leave Chen Ziya with enough means of self-defense, otherwise he would not dare to leave casually. If something happened to her, he would not be able to explain to his grandmother Chen Jie and his family, so he had to ensure Chen Ziya's safety. If Chen Ziya and the other three formed a team and did not leave the Qinghai sect's sphere of influence, there should not be much danger. At this time, Hu Yana said, "This time, I heard from my master that after we arrive at the Xuan'an continent, there may be an opportunity. But because it is jointly controlled by more than a dozen nearby sects, There are many people who go in every time. If the cultivation is too low or the means are too weak, going in is to die, so I guess among us, only seeing your brother go has a chance. And I heard that they have to be selected by the sect before they can participate. Chen Ziya and Zhao Mingxia were a little disappointed after hearing this, knowing that with their strength, it was too dangerous to compete for such an opportunity. Lin Changqing was moved when he heard this. If it was a competition between people of the same level, he would definitely not be afraid. Even if it was a cultivator of the Purple Mansion stage, he would dare to challenge him. But the problem was that he was not a formal disciple of the Qingyuan sect. He didn't know if he would be qualified to participate in the competition for the opportunity. At this time, Lin Changqing hurriedly said, "Junior sister Hu, can you try to describe the opportunity you mentioned in more detail?" Hu Yana nodded and continued, "In fact, I don't know much, but I heard a few words from my master and master that day. It seems to be a secret realm that only appears once every 60 years, and people in the key refining stage, foundation building stage, and Purple Mansion stage can enter. Of course, cultivators of different realms will appear in different areas. I heard that the secret realm is very vast and there will be no intersection under normal circumstances. It seems that a long time ago, a certain sect used it as a secret realm for its disciples to conduct trials. There are not many restrictions to enter, but if you want to get out, you must kill a certain number of monsters of the same level within the specified time and get the monster pills in their bodies. So if you participate in the competition for this opportunity, if your cultivation is low and your means are weak, you will die if you go in. There are no rules in it, and it is very common to compete for the monster pills with each other." Zhao Mingxia couldn't help but ask, "Junior sister Hu, you have said so much, but you haven't said what the opportunity is." Hu Yana shook her head and said, "I really don't know about this. It seems to be related to the demon pale and cultivation in the end. At that time, I knew that I would definitely not be able to participate, so I didn't listen much. But since it is a trial for disciples and followers, I think there must be corresponding rewards. I guess this is the opportunity to fight for. When the time comes, someone should tell us about these situations. After all, there are still many ordinary disciples who don't know." Chapter 390 Superior Combat Power. Lin Changqing felt that what Hu Yana said made sense, or he could ask his great-grandmother, who probably knew something. But he was not in a hurry now, as it was still too early to really start competing for the opportunity, and it was good to know that there was such a thing. Everyone chatted for a while, and after drinking 2 pots of green jade tea, Hu Yana and Zhao Mingxia said goodbye and left. After seeing them off, only Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya were left. At this time, he thought for a while before asking, "Yair, do you want to participate in the trial that junior sister Hu mentioned?" Chen Ziya thought for a while, but still shook her head and said, "Forget it. Even if I go in with you, I guess we will be randomly separated. And we have to hunt monsters inside, and then you have to come to meet me, plus we have to hunt monsters, which will hold you back, so I'd rather not participate." After hearing what she said, Lin Changqing didn't mention the matter of the purple crystal scorpion, and let's see the specific situation at that time. Chen Ziya accompanied Lin Changqing for a while, and then she went back. At this time, Lin Changqing was left alone. After thinking for a while, he decided not to waste time. If there was nothing to do, it would be best to use it for cultivation. But this was on the treasure ship, and practicing other magic skills would make too much noise, so Lin Changqing activated a prohibition on the door and set up the small 5-element maze array. Then he took out the Wunian jade mat in the Zuinun heavy water bottle, and prepared to start practicing the Zuinun water controlling technique. Thanks to the 5 elements Chaos Sutra he practiced, which was a heavenly level technique, his magic power was of very high quality. So now he can control 50 drops of first level heavy water, or 5 drops of second level heavy water. In other words, if these heavy waters were hidden in a water ball, the water ball would be about 5,000 pounds. It would be very interesting to imagine that if someone was not paying attention and was crushed by one of his small water balls, it would be very interesting. He drew out a stream of first-order heavy water from the Zuinun heavy water bottle and began to practice. These heavy waters surrounded Lin Changqing's body and kept changing their shapes. He changed all the swords, spears, swords, sticks, and even all kinds of monsters he had seen. It took him nearly 2 hours to finally use up all the mana in his body. After collecting all the heavy water back into the heavy water bottle, he rested for a while and began to practice the Thunder Sutra again. After more than 2 months, he had expanded 4 of the 18 thunder acupoints that had been opened. The thunder mana stored in each of these 4 expanded acupoints was enough to generate a Jingjin God Thunder or a Qishu Yin Thunder. And in terms of power, it is estimated that it is at least 10 times more than the previous key refining period, or even more, because in the family, he did not dare to try it casually. So until now, he did not know how powerful the 2 kinds of God Thunder were. He would find a chance to try it again in the future to know. Now he just needs to continue to expand the acupoints, and after all the expansions are completed, he will open up new thunder acupoints. Lin Changqing also decided to start practicing the other 8 thunder methods. The Thunder Sutra would not produce mixed divine thunder until the Purple Mansion stage, but it would also be different from the combination of the 10 thunder methods. So the other 8 thunder methods had to be practiced, and each thunder method had its own characteristics. If all of them were practiced, they could theoretically handle most situations. Moreover, at this time, the thunder acupoints had been replaced with thunder mana, so he could also start practicing the thunder escape technique. However, he only remembered the practice method for this thunder escape technique and had not really practiced it yet. This thunder escape technique can be practiced all the time. The higher the level of cultivation, the faster the escape speed will be. In addition, the thunder escape technique is considered to be a relatively fast escape technique in the world of immortal cultivation. Lin Changqing will focus on practicing this escape technique in the future. After all, being able to escape is also very important. Lin Changqing has been practicing, and time has passed day by day. 9 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Lin Changqing and Chen Ziyi were drinking tea and chatting together. Suddenly, the great-grandmother's voice rang in their ears. "Kinger, Ziyi, the 2 of you come here." After hearing the great-grandmother's call, the 2 were a little surprised, but they didn't dare to delay, so they went to the top floor together. Both of them had been here before, so they naturally knew where to find the great-grandmother. When they arrived at the door had already opened by itself. "Hello, great-grandmother." "Hello, great-grandmother," the great-grandmother chuckled and said, "You 2, sit down. Are you used to it these days? We will arrive at Chaoying city of Xianyang tomorrow. We should rest for 2 days. You can play there for 2 days and relax. Then we will board this Hanhei giant ship of Wanbao Pavilion. By then, we will stay on the ship for 5 or 6 months, and it will not be as easy as it is now." Lin Changqing's heart moved after hearing this, and he replied, "Thank you, great-grandmother, we are all used to it." "What do you mean by not so easy just now? Does it mean that the road will not be too peaceful?" The great-grandmother nodded gently and said, "The endless sea is vast and boundless, and there are countless kinds of monsters living in it. The Zhenhe giant ship will definitely disturb them when it passes. So it is very common to encounter monsters along the way. You can also take action at that time. As long as you kill them, they will be considered your gains. We have agreed on these contents with Wanbao Pavilion early on, but if they die unfortunately, they will not be responsible. Of course, the guarding monks of Wanbao Pavilion will try their best to rescue, but there are often times when the rescue is not in time. So either hide in the room and don't come out, but if you want to get extra gains, you must risk death." Chen Ziyi heard this and couldn't help but say, "Then let's stay in the room honestly. It's too dangerous. Even the high-level monks can't rescue in time. You can imagine how dangerous it is, so we still don't participate." Great-grandmother chuckled, looked at her and said, "Silly child. That's not that simple. Along the way, the number of monsters hunted on the ship is also related to the number of places for this Jiazi trial. 100 monks with superior combat power will be selected from your batch of foundation building monks to give them places to participate in the Jiazi trial. So you still have to fight for what you should fight for." Lin Changqing's heart moved when he heard it, and he knew that this should be the opportunity that Uyana said. So he quickly asked, "Grandmother, what exactly is the Jiazi trial you are talking about?" Chapter 391 Double Opportunity. The great-grandmother thought for a while before speaking. This secret realm of the Jiazi trial has existed for a very long time. This secret realm already existed before our Qingyuan sect existed. I only heard that it belonged to a super sect that has disappeared in the past. It is a trial place specially prepared for disciples. 10,000 people can enter each time, but there are only 600 places allocated to our Qingyuan sect. Among these 600 places, in addition to about 30, which are prepared for the Purple Mansion cultivators. There are 200 for the key refining cultivators in the sex residence. The remaining 370 places are all reserved for the sex foundation building disciples, of which 100 places are allocated to this side. So after we discussed it here, we decided to use the various monsters that may be encountered on the endless sea during this voyage as a touchstone for those who are interested in participating. Whoever harvests more monster pills and has a higher quality this time will give the places for this trial to the top 100. Anyway, those with low cultivation and weak means will die if they go in, so it is better to select those with strong combat power, so that they will have a chance to pass the secret realm trial. After hearing this, Lin Changqing couldn't help but asked, "Grandmother, it sounds like this Jiazi trial is quite dangerous. Then why are you fighting for these places? And until now, we still don't know what the benefits of passing this Jiazi trial are, or what major opportunities there are." After hearing this, the great-grandmother couldn't help but laugh and scolded, "You impatient monkey, just listen to me, you will know, don't interrupt here." Lin Changqing quickly agreed and dealt with it with a grin. The great-grandmother organized her words and continued, "Of course, there is a reason why everyone is vying to participate in this Jiazi trial. You should have guessed the content of the trial, which is to hunt monsters within 1 month of entering the secret realm. You must hunt at least 10 monsters of the same level as you to go to a specific place in exchange for a certificate to leave the secret realm. For example, if both of you are at the first level of foundation building, you must hunt more than 20 monsters of the second level. Take the demon pills in their bodies, and then find a special magic circle and put the demon pills into the magic circle to exchange for a certificate to leave the secret realm. The foundation is to let the magic circle leave a mark on you, and when the time is up, it will naturally pass through this mark and teleport you out of the secret realm. Of course, this is the most basic. If everyone only hunts 10 monsters of the same level, you can only qualify to leave the secret realm. The real focus is still on the demon pills. The more demon pills everyone puts in, the more feedback there will be. According to past records, the feedback received can improve one's cultivation by up to 3 levels, which means that if it is you, you can improve your cultivation to the 4th level of foundation building at most. You should know that although the lifespan of immortal cultivators is longer than that of ordinary people, what we cultivators lack most is time. In this way, the cultivation level is improved by 3 levels at once, which is equivalent to saving more than 10 years or even decades of cultivation time. So you say that in this way, will everyone fight for the demon pills and even kill each other crazily? Hearing this, Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya frowned. For Lin Changqing, improving cultivation is not too difficult. He still has Huguo wine and Behozuhan wine. But such an open opportunity to improve cultivation is still very rare. Besides, whether it is a demon beast or a cultivator of the same level, it is really too easy for him to kill. As long as a group of people don't join together to deal with him, he is still 100% sure. At least he feels that it is not a problem for him to get out of it. In this way, it is worth his time to spend some time inside. But what should Chen Ziya do? Her methods are just ordinary. Can she set up a formation on the boat and lure the monsters into the formation to kill them? And she would be in great danger inside. Lin Changqing was really worried. Chen Ziya also knew her situation, so after thinking about it, she said, "Grandmother, why don't I not participate this time? Not to mention that there are more than 400 people on this trip. There are 200 to 300 cultivators in the middle and late stages of foundation building. It's really too difficult to compete for this quota. Even if there is a quota, after I get inside, I can't hunt 10 monsters of the same level by myself, not to mention facing the threats of other cultivators. So I still won't participate. Even if I really get inside, I will probably drag Brother Qing down." Lin Changqing also felt that Chen Ziya's thinking was very clear and her decision was very wise. At least he didn't want her to go in and take such a big risk. He decided to wait for a while. When the Zhu fruit matured, let Su Minian continue to brew Zhu fruit wine, and then give it to Chen Ziya to take, so that she couldn't fall behind. At this time, the great-grandmother also said with a smile, "Don't draw conclusions so early. Whether you can go or not depends mainly on Xiao Qinger. As for the quota for entering the secret realm, I have one allocated to me as a giant and cultivator, and I can give it to you directly. And after arriving at the Zuanian continent, I can go to the ancestor of the sect and borrow a pair of traction jade pendants. The traction jade pendant is also called the traction heart pendant. You should make sacrifices in advance and wait until the time comes to teleport into the secret realm. Wear the jade pendants on your body, which can ensure that you are assigned to a relatively close place. Moreover, at the beginning of this Jiazi trial, the danger is still relatively small. Very few people start to fight as soon as they enter. It is only in the middle and late stages that chaos begins. So after entering, Kinger will have no problem finding Xiaoya as soon as possible. But the premise for Xiaoya to enter is that Kinger's combat power must be strong enough to hunt or snatch enough demon pills. And you must also be able to ensure the safety of both of you, otherwise there is no need to go in and take risks. Oh, and there is one most important point that I haven't mentioned yet. The 10 cultivators who invested the most demon pills and the highest quality in this Jiazi trial will get some special opportunities. There are all kinds of skills, magical powers, magic weapons, secret techniques, strange objects, and rare treasures. Especially the opportunities for the top 3 are very huge. Although most of these cultivators who got the opportunities kept it a secret, after digesting it, they are much stronger than cultivators of the same level. And according to the records of the sect, as long as the cultivators who got the top 3 opportunities did not die midway, basically about 80% of them succeeded in forming a pill. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 392 Stunning Performance. Since this Jiazi trial is related to the chance of forming a pill, Lin Changqing must participate no matter what. If he doesn't fight for it now, when will he fight? So he said to his great-grandmother with a firm attitude, "Great-grandmother, I must participate in this trial this time." The great-grandmother was very happy to see Lin Changqing's confidence and high morale. After thinking for a while, she nodded and continued, "Xiaoya can go in or not, but Kinger, your decision to go in is the right one. If you want to go further on the immortal road in the future, you must participate in this Jiazi trial. I dare not hope to be in the top 10 after all. The competition will be very fierce at that time. As long as you can get the 2nd or 3rd level of cultivation feedback this time, it will be very good. For your qualifications, this is at least equivalent to buying yourself more than 20 years. You must not miss this opportunity." Lin Changqing was really full of thoughts when he heard the great-grandmother say this. However, he still asked seriously, "Then great-grandmother, do you know how many demon pills are needed to ensure the feedback of the 3rd level of cultivation?" The great-grandmother heard his tone and roughly guessed his thoughts, and was very pleased. So he answered, "Based on the feedback from the disciples of the sect over the years, we have also summarized some rules. That is, take 9 and return 1. It means that 90% of the demon pills put into the magic array will be absorbed by the array, which should be used to maintain the operation of the entire secret realm. The remaining 10% will be returned to the cultivator who put the demon pill. So if you want to get the 3rd level of cultivation feedback, you must invest at least 20 second stage early stage demon pills and 10 second stage middle stage demon pills." Lin Changqing felt relieved when he heard this. It's not a lot. For him, a harvester of the same level, dozens of demon pills are nothing. It won't take long to collect them all. However, he confirmed again, then add the 10 demon pills used to exchange for the mark of escape. Then I must invest at least 30 second stage early stage demon pills and 10 second stage middle stage demon pills? In order to ensure the feedback of the 3rd level of cultivation and successfully escape from the secret realm of trial, the great-grandmother nodded and said, "Yes. That's it. In this case, there is nothing to think about." So Lin Changqing nodded and said with determination, "Then great-grandmother, Yanner and I will participate in the trial together, and I promise to bring her back safely. And we will at least get feedback on cultivation above the 2nd level." When the great-grandmother heard what Lin Changqing said, it was a little beyond her expectations, although Lin Changqing said it with full confidence. But she still wanted to ask clearly, what is Lin Changqing relying on? So he asked, "It's best if you have this confidence. But after all, this concerns the lives of both of you, so we can't be careless. So I still want to know what you rely on. At least let me believe that you have the means to ensure the safety of both of you." Lin Changqing knew that at this time, if he didn't show some of his real means, the great-grandmother would definitely not let Chen Ziya follow him to participate in the Jiazi trial. After thinking for a while, he still touched the spirit beast bracelet. took out a second-level purple crystal scorpion, and handed it to the great-grandmother. Then, with a thought, the remaining 35 second-level purple crystal scorpions all came out after being invisible. However, they didn't run around, but stayed by his side honestly. He didn't think that the great-grandmother couldn't see these little things. Sure enough, the great-grandmother said huh, and couldn't help but look at Lin Changqing and Chen Ziai's side. Then she retracted her attention and began to study the second-level purple crystal scorpion in her hand. The little guy in the great-grandmother's hand was very honest at this time. It had clearly felt the existence of the fourth level, and with the master's order, it didn't dare to move around casually. After looking at the little fellow in her hand for a while, the great-grandmother asked, besides their good invisibility, do these little fellows have any other abilities? If they can only be invisible, it's no big deal, and they can't be relied on by you to venture into the secret realm, Lin Changqing said confidently. Their attack power is also extraordinary. Ordinary late-stage foundation building cultivators will definitely die if they encounter them. And you don't need too many. As long as there are about 6 to 8 second-level purple crystal scorpions, if they fire together, they can definitely kill late-stage foundation building cultivators on the spot. If the great-grandmother doesn't believe it, you can try it now. After hearing this, the great-grandmother and Chen Ziai were very curious. Although Chen Ziai had heard Lin Changqing talk about it before, she had never seen it with her own eyes. So the great-grandmother nodded, and with a thought, a cushion next to her floated up, and then she pointed at it again, and a layer of light film immediately appeared on the cushion. Then the great-grandmother said to Lin Changqing, the light film on the futon is roughly equivalent to the protective shield released by a purple mansion cultivator. If you can break it, it is almost equivalent to the third layer of defense of an ordinary late foundation establishment cultivator. Let these little guys try it. Lin Changqing nodded, and his mind moved. 4 purple rays shot out from his side and hit the position he had specified in his mind. With a zzz sound, the light film was immediately broken, and a transparent hole 1 finger wide appeared on the futon. The great-grandmother said huh, then pointed at the futon again, and then gestured to Lin Changqing, but this time she didn't say anything else. Lin Changqing didn't need to ask, he knew that this time the light film must be more solid, so he moved his mind and shot out 8 purple rays. However, this time the light film only fluctuated a few times, fluctuated for a while, and then returned to normal, and did not break like last time. The great-grandmother gestured again, and Lin Changqing controlled the little guys again, this time with a volley of 16 rays. It hit the designated spot in his mind, and with a zzz sound, the light film was finally broken again, and a small hole appeared on the futon again. The great-grandmother was really amazed this time, and couldn't help but praise, what a group of powerful little guys. You must train them well in the future, and never let them get damaged easily. They will definitely be your most important means of self-defense in the future. And don't let others know about their existence. Lin Changqing nodded and said, grandson understands, I usually keep these purple crystal scorpions secret. If it wasn't for your peace of mind, I wouldn't take them out casually. And all the enemies who saw them have died, and no one was left alive, so you can rest assured about this. Chapter 393 Enough is enough. The great-grandmother nodded. She still believed in Lin Changqing's cleverness. So she continued, this is the best. When you are in the world of immortal cultivation, sometimes you really can't be too soft-hearted. You will understand these things naturally after you have experienced more in the future. The layer of light film I arranged behind is equivalent to the defense of the late purple mansion. If they can break this light film, then it will definitely not be a problem to sweep the foundation building period. This way I feel relieved, and I agree that Ziaoi will participate in the Jiazi trial with you. And with these little guys at home, with your strength, I feel that you can try to compete for the top 10 places, which should not be a problem. And if you get a lot of demon pills, don't think about giving some to Ziaoi and letting her compete for the top 10. You must know when to stop. If she performs too well this time, the high level of the sect may not agree to let Ziaoi leave Qingyuan sect. Do you understand? After hearing such an important instruction, the two people quickly remembered it firmly in their hearts and agreed. The great-grandmother continued, Kinger, you don't have to be too nervous. I estimate that there will be many people competing for the quota this time. But it doesn't matter. You just need to ensure that your results are within the top 100. You can decide the details yourself. But I suggest that you don't expose all your methods, and don't let others see these little guys for the time being, so that no one will want to take advantage of them. Lin Changqing also agreed with a great-grandmother's suggestion. He planned to use some more conventional methods to win the quota. I believe that this will not make much difference. After all, the quality of his mana is very high, at least equivalent to more than 5 times that of the same level. Therefore, the efficiency of using it is also several times that of theirs, which can also provide him with more lasting combat power. Don't worry, great-grandmother. I believe I can get this spot with my own strength. The great-grandmother nodded and said, okay. Since you all have decided to participate in this trial, you should start preparing in the near future. After we arrive at the Zuanian continent, it will take some time for the secret realm to open, so you have enough time to prepare well. Of course, it would be even better if the two of you could improve your cultivation a little bit. If you could go in with a cultivation of the 2nd level of foundation building, and then come out with a 5th level of foundation building, that would be perfect. You two should seize this opportunity. Lin Changqing and Chen Ziyi were also very moved when they heard what the great-grandmother said. They looked at each other tacitly and knew what each other was thinking. So Lin Changqing nodded and said, don't worry, great-grandmother, we will both seize the time to practice. We will try our best to improve our cultivation to the 2nd level of foundation building before entering the secret realm. The great-grandmother chuckled and said, that's good. If there's nothing else, you can go down and prepare. King Renzioi can have a good time in Chaoying City for 2 days. Otherwise, you won't be able to play for a long time. Chen Ziyi understood the great-grandmother's good intentions. After the two of them said goodbye to the great-grandmother, they left. After the two returned to Chen Ziyi's room, Chen Ziyi said, Brother Qing, I couldn't say anything at my great-grandmother's place just now. But if it's too dangerous to hunt monsters at sea, you don't have to fight for that spot. And at that time, we can't release the purple crystal scorpion to help. It's not that easy to win the sex cultivators in the middle and late stages of foundation building. So if we can't win, we don't have to fight. I'll give you the great-grandmother's spot. You might as well use this time to improve your cultivation by 1 level, which is also a very good choice. I myself have 3 spiritual roots, and my cultivation speed is still very fast. Even if I don't participate in this Jiazi trial, I will definitely be able to successfully cultivate to the Purple Mansion period. Therefore, it doesn't matter whether I participate in the trial or not. The most important thing is that I don't want you to take too much risk, so when hunting monsters at sea, you must do what you can. If it doesn't work, let's forget it. Anyway, we already have a spot for you to participate in the trial, so there's really no need to work so hard. After hearing what Chen Ziyi said, Lin Changqing couldn't help hugging her in his arms. Such a good woman, no matter what, he must love her well in the future. After hugging for a while, Lin Changqing let her go, then took out a jade box from his storage bag and handed it to Chen Ziyi. After she took it, she looked a little confused, but still opened it and took a look. There were 2,400-year-old red fruits inside. Chen Ziyi was about to ask why there were these things. Lin Changqing had already explained, these things are all my previous spoils of war. I originally wanted to keep them to exchange for spirit stones, but now it seems that it is more cost-effective for us to take them ourselves. Chen Ziyi shook her head and said, then Brother Qing, let's exchange them for spirit stones. These can almost be exchanged for 50,000 spirit stones. And when I set out this time, my grandmother also prepared a lot of pills for me, which is enough for the two of us to practice. So there is no need for us to waste these 100-year-old red fruits. He knew that Chen Ziyi didn't want to waste his things, so Lin Changqing could only take out another box and open it to show her. Then he said, look, I still have a lot of them here, and I have tried it. The spiritual energy provided by a 100-year-old zoo fruit is several times that of the elixir. Using it instead of the elixir to practice can shorten the time several times and let us advance to the 2nd level of foundation building faster. The most important thing is that zoo fruit is a natural spiritual fruit. It will not produce a lot of elixir poison if taken continuously for a short time, like elixir. So, in order for us to advance faster, you should not feel sorry for these spiritual stones. Now improving your cultivation is the most important thing. After saying that, Lin Changqing took out a zoo fruit directly from the jade box and stuffed it into her mouth. Chen Ziyi could only roll her eyes at him, took out the zoo fruit again, and ate it elegantly. In the end, there was a fruit core left, which she also collected. Then she sat cross-legged and began to practice the technique to refine the spiritual energy of the zoo fruit in her body. Lin Changqing was guarding her on the side, as if he was protecting her. By the way, he took out the jade slip given by his grandmother and studied the map inside. He was preparing to go out alone in the future. You can't just go out and wander around without knowing anything, so take advantage of the time you have now to figure out which direction to go in the future, which will be more beneficial to you. Chapter 394, Meeting an Old Friend in a Foreign Land. After more than an hour, Chen Ziya opened her eyes and said, Brother Qing, the spiritual energy provided by this zoo fruit is indeed many times more than that of the elixir. I have only refined a small part now. If I want to refine it all, it will take at least 7 or 8 days. Lin Changqing was moved when he heard this. Chen Ziya needed 1 or 2 days more time to refine it than him. He felt that this should be due to the practice. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, the speed of cultivation is several times faster than that of the elixir, so Chen Ziya still needs to continue taking zoo fruit in the future. Then these 2400-year zoo fruits are almost enough for Chen Ziya to practice for half a year. If she has not reached the second level of foundation building by then, Lin Changqing will give her some 100 flowers soul-intoxicating wine, and there will be no problem. When Chen Ziya rested for a while and prepared to continue refining, Lin Changqing returned to his room. He also took a zoo fruit and practiced. He was busy on this journey through the endless sea. He had to go out to hunt monsters and practice at the same time, but it was good. It was also a kind of training for him. At about noon the next day, Hu Yuna, Zhao Mingxia and the others came. The 4 of them gathered in Lin Changqing's room to drink tea, because they would soon arrive in Chaoying City. They had already discussed that after arriving, they would go to Chaoying Market together for a stroll, and now they were waiting for the treasure ship to land. After a while, the voice of the great-grandmother suddenly spread throughout the ship. All disciples, listen carefully, we are about to land outside Chaoying City, and everyone can move freely in the next 2 days. But this is the territory of the Xian'an sect, you all should be honest and don't make trouble casually. From the time of Chenxi to Jishi the day after tomorrow, everyone will gather at the Chaoying Wharf. If you can't go to Xuan'an continent by then, you can find a way to return to the sect by yourself. The 4 of them smiled at each other, believing that there should be no such stupid people. Such an important thing, but they didn't care. Sure enough, after a while, the treasure ship landed not far from a huge city, and then many disciples of Qingyan sect got off the ship and flew to the huge city in groups of 3 or 2. The 4 of them did not compete with others, but waited until others had almost left before getting off the treasure ship. Lin Changqing took out a spiritual boat and took the 3 of them to Chaoying City. The treasure ship did not stop too far, less than 10 miles away, and arrived in a moment. It happened that the disciples of Qingyan sect lined up in a row and were applying for entry and exit certificates at the gate of Chaoying Market. The 4 people also lined up behind them honestly. Fortunately, the processing speed was very fast, and it was their turn in a while. Because they were all foundation building cultivators, they did not collect their spiritual stones. Chaoying City processed their entry and exit certificates for free. After all, hundreds of foundation building cultivators came at once, which could really bring a lot of consumption to Chaoying City. Therefore, Xian'an sect exempted them from a few spiritual stones, which was also a bit of a host's friendship. At that time, they could still earn a lot of spiritual stones from them. The 4 people entered the market town. Lin Changqing suggested that they solve the accommodation problem first, and then consider what to do next. This proposal was approved by everyone, so they followed the main road of the market town and looked for a hotel. They also asked the clerks of the shops on the street for directions, so they found a hotel in a short while. However, Lin Changqing went in and asked, and found that it was full. It seemed that the disciples of the Qingyan sect in front had already occupied all the rooms. The 4 people could only continue to look for the next one. After asking people, they found another hotel 2 streets away. However, when a few people just walked in, they heard a burst of playful sounds inside. At this time, Lin Changqing saw Mu Jiuyin and Mu Xiaoxio, as well as Lu Yuling who was a little behind, and 2 or 3 familiar faces around, a total of 8 or 9 people. He was not prepared at all, and was stunned for a moment, but he reacted immediately. Mu Jiuyin was also very surprised to see Chen Ziya and Hu Yuna, and then greeted them very enthusiastically. Junior sister Chen, junior sister Hu, junior sister Zhao, junior sister Mu, junior sister Lu. All kinds of compliments were heard in the hotel lobby at once. Everyone greeted each other, and the lobby became even more lively. However, at this time, Mu Xiaoxiao could not care so much. She just looked at Lin Changqing steadily. She was so excited that her face flushed. She looked unbelievable and hesitant. Although Lin Changqing wore a hidden spirit mask last time, she was willing to recognize Lin Changqing's identity at once. She came here this time with the idea of just in case, but she didn't expect that she would really wait for it. And most importantly, she didn't expect that the host would be so good looking, which made her extremely happy. Unconsciously, she whispered, "Senior Brother Gao. You are here." At this time, Lin Changqing didn't need to specifically feel the silver rune in his mind. He knew that Mu Xiaoxiao must be very excited now. He also knew that others couldn't recognize him, but Mu Xiaoxiao would definitely recognize him. After all, they had a contract, and there must be a certain sense in the vagueness. Fortunately, Mu Xiaoxiao was not stupid enough to call him master directly. Otherwise, it was hard to say what the consequences would be on the territory of Xiaonan sect. "Well, junior sister Mu, long time no see. I just happened to pass by your Xiaonan sect's territory this time. I didn't expect to see junior sister Mu as soon as I arrived here. It's really a coincidence." Hearing this answer, Mu Xiaoxiao was really happy to truly acknowledge the identity of the master, but before she had time to say anything, her sister and Lu Yuling came over to greet Lin Changqing. Because from Mu Jiufeng and Lu Yuling, the three words "Senior Brother Gao" are highly sensitive words, especially when they saw Mu Xiaoxiao like this. They immediately understood. If he still couldn't guess who the person in front of him was at this time, it would be really stupid, so he came over immediately and greeted him very respectfully. "Hello, Senior Brother Gao. This time, I should see your true face, right?" "Hello, Senior Brother Gao. Yuling welcomes you to Chaoyin City." The first sentence was said by Mu Jiufeng, and the second sentence was said by Lu Yuling. The first sentence was too direct, so he didn't know how to answer her. And because they came over to greet Lin Changqing, the dozen or so female cultivators present all looked at him very curiously, which made him a little embarrassed. Chapter 395, Living by the Sea. After all, although Mu Jiufeng and Lu Yuling are not the leaders of the group now, they are also people who make them very convinced. Now two people are calling themselves junior sisters to the same male cultivator at the same time, which proves that this male cultivator must be an existence that they identify with and respect very much. Therefore, this group of female cultivators from the Xiaonan sect all want to see the best of Lin Changqing. However, Lin Changqing's attention at this time is not on these people, and he does not want to satisfy those people's curious eyes. At this time, he is dealing with Mu Jiufeng and Lu Yuling. After all, others have taken the initiative to come over to greet him, and he can't be indifferent. So he also greeted them. "Hello junior sister Mu. Hello junior sister Lu. I didn't expect it to be such a coincidence this time. I met all the junior sisters as soon as I arrived in Chaoyin City." Mu Jiufeng was not angry when she saw that Lin Changqing did not answer her question. She was very tolerant of Lin Changqing. Then he continued, "Senior Brother Gao and all the junior sisters, do you want to come to this hotel to solve the accommodation problem?" Lin Changqing nodded and said, "Yes, we have found a hotel before, but that one is full. After asking around, we found this hotel again, and wanted to see if there are any rooms available for us to rent." Mu Jiufeng said proudly at this time, "This hotel has been booked by the sisters of our Xiaonan sect, but since Senior Brother Gao needs it, then we can give out a room in a suite, so that we can meet the needs of Senior Brother Gao and all the junior sisters. What do you think, Senior Brother?" Lin Changqing thought to himself, since the entire hotel is occupied by female cultivators of the Xiaonan sect, it is not convenient for him, a male cultivator from an outside sect, to live here. And it would not sound good to say it out, so forget it. When he was about to refuse, Lu Yuling suddenly said, "Brother, there are only 3 hotels in this market. You have already been to one that is full, so we have booked this one. Now there are suddenly hundreds of foundation building monks pouring into the market. I guess the remaining hotel has no rooms at this time. Why don't you stay here?" Mu Xiaoxiao also said at the side, "Yes. Brother Gao, why don't you stay here? No need to go around." Lin Changqing felt that what they said made sense. After all, they were the last batch to enter Chaoyin market, and it was really possible that they could not find a hotel to stay at this time. So he looked at Chen Ziya and Hu Yana. Except for Hu Yana, who was a little reluctant, the other two nodded in agreement. Huyana simply didn't like Mu Xiaoxiao and didn't like her being so close to Lin Changqing, so she didn't want to stay here. But now, she could only reluctantly accept it, so she nodded in the end. Since everyone agreed, Lin Changqing could only say, "Then we are so shameless to bother you. We have to trouble all the junior sisters this time." Hearing that Lin Changqing agreed to stay, Mu Xiaoxiao was so happy that she almost jumped up, and the happy smile on her face could no longer be concealed. So she quickly said, "Then let's give my room to senior brother Gao to live in, and I will go to my sister's place and live with her." At this time, Mu Jiufeng also said, "Okay. Then clear out a suite not far away and let the 3 junior sisters from Qingyuan sect live there, so that they won't be too far away." As soon as Mu Jiufeng finished speaking, Lu Yuling agreed, and then immediately went to communicate with the fellow disciples over there, but Lin Changqing didn't need to ask about these. At this time, Mu Xiaoxiao asked again, "Senior brother Gao, you are coming here at this time. Are you also going to take the Wanbao Pavilion's Zhenhe giant ship to go there?" This question is actually very obvious, and there is no need to hide anything deliberately, so Lin Changqing nodded and said, "That's right. This opportunity is rare. We all want to go there to take a look. If we miss this time, we will have to wait another 30 years. Hearing Lin Changqing's answer, Mu Xiaoxiao was happy and sad. She was happy that she finally saw Lin Changqing again this time, but she was sad that she was not on the list of people going there this time. She came here mainly to see off her sister and Lu Yuling, as well as a few sisters who were on good terms with her. Moreover, she is only at the great perfection of key refining now. Even if she asks the elders who are leading the team this time for mercy, there is probably nothing she can do. She herself has not reached the foundation establishment stage, and the elders will definitely not agree to let her go there. At this time, Lu Yuling also came back and said to Lin Changqing and the others, "Brother, I have communicated with you. The room has been arranged. Can I take you there now?" Lin Changqing and the 3 sisters thanked them one after another, and then they went into the hotel together and went to see the suite prepared for Chen Zilia and the other 3. After the 3 of them settled down, they went to a place not far away and took a look at the room reserved for Lin Changqing, and got to know the place by the way. After they were all settled down, Lin Changqing and the other 4 were just about to say goodbye to them and go out for a walk. Unexpectedly, Mu Jiufeng and the other 3 insisted on being the host and taking them around, so the group of 4 suddenly became 7. After leaving the hotel, they began to walk along the street. Chaoying City is a city near the Endless Sea. It is estimated that it is only a few dozen miles away from the Endless Sea, so there is a faint smell of water in the air. And the cultivators they met are still a little different from those in Qingyuan City, mainly in terms of attire. However, most of the cultivators he met were male cultivators. He guessed that most of the female cultivators were not taken to Xian'an sect. He also found that there were many cultivators who practiced water-attributed techniques here. There were also many shops that specialized in purchasing materials for monsters. It was true that they lived off the sea. As the group walked down the street, Lin Changqing was embarrassed to mix with them and took the initiative to fall behind. Mu Xiaoxiao accompanied him. Chen Ziya and the other 3 were enthusiastically pulled by Mu Jiufeng and Lu Yuling, and went in here and there. At this time, Lin Changqing also understood that they were creating opportunities for Mu Xiaoxiao. Mu Xiaoxiao had been with him all the time. At this time, her face was slightly red and she said, "Senior brother Gao, I was going to go out and travel to gain some experience after I build my foundation. I will stop by Qingyuan sect by then. It would be best if I could meet my senior brother. I didn't expect that my senior brother would come before I built my foundation. And I have to leave here. I won't see my senior brother for a long time in the future." Chapter 396, Heat in the Lower Danshan. After hearing this, Lin Changqing couldn't help but want to glare at her. He had repeatedly emphasized that she was not allowed to look for him, and that traveling after building the foundation was a tradition. But he knew that these were all excuses. Mu Xiaoxiao was going to look for him specifically, and maybe she would go directly to Qingyuan sect to find him. Fortunately, he would leave here in 2 days, and he was not afraid that she would do anything weird again, so he simply pretended not to understand anything. So he followed her words and said, "That's good. After you build the foundation in the future, you can indeed travel around. It's not bad to increase your knowledge." Seeing his distant answer, Mu Xiaoxiao knew that he must be a little angry, So he leaned close to his ear and whispered in a seductive voice, "Master, don't be angry. Xiaoxiao wants to see you too much? I will go to your room tonight and dance for you. I guarantee that you have never seen it in your life." After hearing this, Lin Changqing couldn't help but feel hot in his lower dantian, but he still forced himself to restrain his mind, knowing that this was the reason why Mu Xiaoxiao practiced a technique. He didn't want to make Chen Ziya sad, so he continued to pretend to be stupid and said, "Why should I be angry? Besides, I know that after building the foundation, it is a tradition for all sects to travel outside, so there is nothing to be angry about. As for you, don't come over at night. Sister Chen and I have officially become Taoist partners, so it is not appropriate for you to come over at night." Hearing Lin Changqing say that he already had a Taoist partner, Mu Xiaoxiao felt very uncomfortable and her face turned pale. Although she had prepared herself early in the morning that Lin Changqing would not ask her to be a Taoist partner, she still felt very uncomfortable when he said this news at this time. So she fell silent all of a sudden, but after a while, Mu Xiaoxiao recovered because she quickly put herself in the right position. She was just Lin Changqing's little maid. What did Lin Changqing have a Taoist partner have to do with her? It was just that she killed one and it was just her unrealistic fantasy. So she quickly adjusted her mentality and didn't think about those things that existed or didn't exist. Then she started to introduce the characteristics of Jiufeng market to Lin Changqing with a smile, and soon they were talking and laughing. After the group walked through several streets, Lin Changqing had already seen 2 gambling stone shops, and he also saw the location of the street stall square. However, he didn't want to go to the gambling stone shop with so many people, and there were not many people in the street stall square at this time, so he didn't go there. Chen Ziya and the other 3 people did gain a lot, all of which were things with the characteristics of Jiufeng City, such as a lot of pearl jewelry and so on. Finally, Mu Jiufeng took everyone to a very large spiritual restaurant and treated them to a meal, which was very characteristic of Jiufeng City. Originally, Lin Changqing wanted to treat them, but Mu Jiufeng refused no matter what, saying that he had to do his best to be a host, and he also paid the bill in advance. However, Lin Changqing, Chen Ziya and the others were quite satisfied with the meal. Let's put it this way, they used to eat mountain delicacies, but this time they ate seafood. After tasting it, everyone felt pretty good and everyone liked it very much. This spiritual meal took more than an hour, and when they came out, it was completely dark. So everyone stopped shopping and returned to the hotel together. The people from the Xian'an sect left first. Mu Xiaoxiao didn't want to leave, but was dragged away by her sister and Lu Yuling. Lin Changqing and the other 4 gathered in his room, drank a pot of green jade tea, and agreed to go together tomorrow. Hu Yana and Zhao Mingxia also said goodbye and left. When Lin Changqing was left alone, Chen Ziya looked at Lin Changqing with a smile. Then she said, "Brother Qing, shouldn't you tell me what's going on between you and Mu Xiaoxiao? Why do I feel that you two are a little strange? It seems that it's not just that you saved her, right?" Lin Changqing knew that he would definitely not be able to satisfy Chen Ziya based on Mu Xiaoxiao's performance today. Women are naturally intuitive in this regard and are very sensitive. But he didn't think of satisfying her, so he told her what happened in the Jiang secret realm, including the fact that Mu Xiaoxiao made the oath of the Great Dao. After listening to this, Chen Ziya opened her eyes wide, and after hesitating for a while, she spoke, "So, there is a very close contractual relationship between the two of you, so what do you want to do?" Lin Changqing nodded and said directly, "When I was in the secret realm, I had already told her that she should just pretend that nothing happened. Let her learn the skills and practice as before, but I don't agree to let her come to me. But I didn't expect it to be such a coincidence this time. As soon as I arrived at the territory of the Xian'an sect, I met them." Chen Ziya rolled her eyes at him, shook her head and said, "I don't think things may be that simple, and as far as I know, the oath of the Tao is not made casually. She is equivalent to recognizing you as her master, and there is no way to find a Taoist partner or something. I guess if her elders knew, they would definitely come to you. Should we find a great-grandmother first and explain the situation to her, so that Mu Xiaoxiao's elders won't come over and we won't be able to handle it ourselves?" After hearing this, Lin Changqing thought about it for a while, then shook his head and said, "Forget it. Let's not bother with it. It's not good to bother the great-grandmother with such a small matter. Anyway, there is only one day tomorrow. We will board the ship and leave early the day after tomorrow, and Mu Xiaoxiao is just practicing Qi now. She shouldn't go to Zuanian continent with us. I think this time she is most likely to send her sister off, so let's not waste our time." Chen Ziya also felt that it made sense, and suddenly said jokingly, "Then Senior Brother Gao, do you want me to stay with you tonight? Otherwise, maybe someone will come to see Senior Brother Gao tonight." Lin Changqing felt embarrassed after hearing Chen Ziya's joke, and could only laugh dryly. However, he thought of what Mu Xiaoxiao said just now, and felt that it would be better to leave Chen Ziya. So he said, "Then you should stay. I need your protection these 2 days." When Chen Ziya heard him say this, she immediately laughed non-stop, especially when Lin Changqing said she needed her protection. She couldn't help wanting to laugh, and finally managed to control her emotions. She agreed with Lin Changqing to come over in the evening. Chen Ziya returned to her room to continue refining the spiritual energy of the red fruit in her body. Chapter 397 Take her away. In addition, with such a rich spiritual meal tonight, she had to refine it quickly, so she went back first. At this time, Lin Changqing was the only one left in the room. He reviewed what happened today from beginning to end. To be honest, he didn't expect to meet Mu Xiaoxiao and the others as soon as he arrived. After reviewing and finding nothing wrong, he got up and checked the room twice with his eyes and spiritual sense. After confirming that there was no problem, he set up the small 5-element maze formation. After activating it, Lin Changqing entered the formation. It was inconvenient to be on the great-grandmother's treasure ship. This time, he came to the territory of the Xian'an sect and got out of the eyes of the high-level cultivators. It was a chance. He wanted to take this opportunity to cultivate another 36 second-level purple crystal scorpions, and then put them next to Chen Ziya to protect her. He released the remaining 88 first-level purple crystal scorpions and compared them carefully. Lin Changqing selected the strongest 36 of them, divided them into 2 groups, and then took them back into the Spirit Beast bracelet. Then he took out the Zuinun heavy water bottle, put on a spiritual light shield, and began to feed them one by one with Beihuzuhan liquor. The process was completed quickly, and the 36 sleeping little guys were all received into the Spirit Beast bracelet. In this way, they only need to wait for a while, and they will be promoted to the 2nd level after waking up. Worried that the fragrance of Beihuzuhan liquor would stay in the magic circle, he collected all the aura in the magic circle into the inner space, so that it would be absolutely unnoticed. After doing this, Lin Changqing felt a little relieved in his heart. At that time, Chen Ziya's safety would be guaranteed. He gathered his thoughts, took out the Wunian jade mat from the storage bag, and directly put it under his buttocks, and then he began to practice. He also took Zhuguo and Lingshan, so he had to refine them as soon as possible. The effect of the mat was obvious, and he soon entered a deep state of practice with a calm mind and no thoughts. Just like that, more than 2 hours passed quickly, and Lin Changqing finally opened his eyes. The state of deep cultivation was different. In just a short while, he had refined all the spiritual food in his stomach, and also refined a part of the spiritual energy of the red fruit. It is estimated that in about 3 days, all the spiritual energy of this red fruit can be completely refined by him. He couldn't help but feel happy in his heart. The effect of this Wunian jade prayer mat may be a little stronger than he expected at the time. At this time, someone touched the restriction on the door. Lin Changqing thought it was Chen Ziya coming, so he got up and opened the door. Unexpectedly, the person standing outside the door was Mu Jiufeng, which made him stunned. However, at this time, Mu Jiufeng had already said, "Senior Brother Gao. Jiufeng is sorry to bother you. I want to come over and chat with you for a while. You won't be unwelcome, will you?" Hearing her say this, Lin Changqing could only shake his head and chuckled. "No way, this place was given to us by junior sister. We are the guests, so please come in." After saying that, he still let Mu Jiufeng in. Anyway, Chen Ziya should be here soon, and he had nothing to worry about. After they got to the room and sat down, Lin Changqing fiddled with the tea set and brewed green jade tea to entertain the guests. As the host, it was not good to treat the guests badly. After the spiritual tea was brewed, he called out, "Junior Sister Mu. Please have some tea. Why did you come here at this time? Is there something wrong?" Lin Changqing was the first to ask. Mu Jiufeng glanced at him, then said with a smile, "Senior Brother Gao looks much better now than when he was in the secret realm. Also, if there is nothing else, can't you come and chat with me?" Lin Changqing smiled when he heard this. In fact, he had already united his mind and guarded his spiritual platform tightly. He had never forgotten the power of the female cultivators of the Xian'an sect and their skills. Junior Sister Mu, you're joking. No matter how you change, your outward appearance is just a shell. We cultivators pursue longevity. The skin can be discarded at any time if necessary. As for chatting, I'm the only one who has time. You're always welcome to come over. After all, I also want to communicate, discuss and learn more with the elite disciples of Xian'an sect. Upon hearing this, Mount Jiufeng continued with a smile, Senior Brother Gao is really ambitious. The goal you pursue is actually the end of the immortal path, longevity. No wonder your methods are so powerful. I'm far inferior to you in this regard. I'm ashamed. But I also think that having a clear goal is a good thing, but things like cultivating immortals can't be achieved overnight. So before we become immortals, we are still mortals, and we also have 7 emotions and 6 desires, happiness, anger, sorrow and happiness. So please, Senior Brother, please pay more attention to the people in front of you. Lin Changqing's heart moved when he heard this. He knew that she must have something in mind, but he would not give in easily. So he pretended to be a little confused, looked at Mount Jiufeng and said, Junior Sister Mu, why do you want me to care about you? Mount Jiufeng was really about to laugh at him, and said unhappily, I just heard Mu Xiaoxiao say that Senior Brother and Junior Sister Chen have become a Taoist couple. So I came here specifically to congratulate Senior Brother and Junior Sister Chen, but at the same time I also want to ask you, Mu Xiaoxiao, how are you going to deal with it? Lin Changqing didn't expect Mount Jiufeng to be so direct all of a sudden, but he reacted immediately. He said, I saved her and Lu Yuling once by chance in the Jiang secret realm. How do you want me to deal with it? Mount Jiufeng couldn't help but roll his eyes at him and said, Senior Brother Gao, I'm talking about Mu Xiaoxiao's vow to the heavenly Dao. Lin Changqing also looked at her and said, when I was in the secret realm, I had already told her very clearly. Let her learn skills and practice as before, and let her treat it as if nothing happened. And I didn't restrict her freedom. She can do whatever she wants, including if she has someone she likes. She can also become a Taoist couple and practice dual cultivation together. There is no problem with these. Are you still not satisfied with my way of dealing with it? Mount Jiufeng looked at him seriously and solemnly. After a while, he said, what you said is completely your own idea. Mu Xiaoxiao's vow to the heavenly Dao is equivalent to recognizing you as the master, and there is no way to become a Taoist couple with others. What I mean is, take her away. We cultivators don't have the saying that we can only find a Taoist couple. Xiao is also very good and versatile. Although she has 4 spiritual roots, she will be able to build a foundation soon, and there is a 50% to 60% chance of advancing to the Purple Palace. Letting her follow you is completely worthy of you. Chapter 398 Water Spirit Pearl. Mount Jiufeng was so direct that Lin Changqing was a little overwhelmed, and she suggested that Lin Changqing take Mu Xiaoxiao away. This was a bit embarrassing for him. After all, he had just become a Taoist couple with Chen Ziya, and there was no formal marriage ceremony yet. Now there was Mu Xiaoxiao. What would Chen Ziya think? Would his grandmother and great-grandmother punish him severely? Would the clan leader and grandfather peel off his skin? So he couldn't agree at all. Just when he was about to refuse directly, he didn't expect that someone would trigger the ban on the door at this time. After looking at Mount Jiufeng, Lin Changqing still got up and opened the door. It was Chen Ziya who came in this time. He let her in. Seeing Mount Jiufeng here, Chen Ziya was not too surprised. The 3 of them greeted each other and drank tea. Mount Jiufeng continued the previous topic, but after Chen Ziya came, Lin Changqing felt much more relaxed. Anyway, he didn't have to worry about it alone, and he felt that it was more appropriate for Chen Ziya to refuse. But after the 2 of them talked for a while, Chen Ziya invited Mount Jiufeng to her place and directly left Lin Changqing aside. When Chen Ziya left, she told Lin Changqing that she would not come tonight. Now Lin Changqing was left alone. He was a little confused about what Chen Ziya wanted to do. But now that Chen Ziya took over the question, he didn't think too much about it. Putting aside all distractions, he began to practice magic and Thunder Sutra. Early the next morning, after completing the basic practice of the 5 elements Chaos Sutra, he made himself a pot of green jade tea, and after drinking it, he went to the suite to find Chen Ziya and the others. Because Hu Yunna and Zhao Mingxia were there, he couldn't ask Chen Ziya how the conversation with Mu Jiuan went yesterday. After the reunion, the four of them left the hotel. Today, several people had agreed to go to the street stall square here to take a look, and they knew where it was yesterday. So today, Lin Changqing led the way and walked in front, while Chen Ziya and the other two followed behind. The three of them chattered and were very lively. At least Lin Changqing felt that Chen Ziya should be in a good mood today, so he felt relieved. When he arrived there, he found that there were already many people, and there were about 700 or 800 stalls. And occasionally, he could see some familiar faces, who should be the disciples of Qingyuan sect that he had seen in the sect square that day. At this time, Chen Ziya and the other two were much more excited than him. After greeting him, they started to stroll around. Lin Changqing was still the same, following behind them, and also divided half of his attention to observe the items on the stalls. He found that there were relatively few spiritual medicines and plants here, and the spiritual medicines that he occasionally saw were mostly water attributed. However, he could only buy those that could be transplanted, regardless of whether they were useful or not, just to enrich the species in the inner space. And the stalls here are often made of materials from water-based monsters, and the tendons, bones, skins, and so on can feel the obvious fluctuations of the water system. At this time, Chen Ziya and her friends came to a stall with several strings of fish eggs that looked like linglong fruit. They were translucent. And you could see some small fish that were still growing inside. It was unknown what kind they were. However, there were too many of them, so they were probably not rare. Lin Changqing looked at them curiously. He was also considering whether to buy some and put them in the pond in the inner space. He didn't know if they could be kept alive. In addition, there were many things that looked like clams on this stall, but they were many times larger than ordinary clams. Many people gathered around this stall to study these clams. After they saw someone choose a medium-sized clam, they gave the boss more than 100 spirit stones. Then the boss used a very thin spirit tool to cut twice along the gap of the clam, and then handed it to the monk. In everyone's expectation, the man opened the clam and found 3 things that looked like pearls, the size of 3 fingers, and blue beads inside. At this time, someone had already shouted, "Do you want to sell these 3 water spirit beads? If you do, I'll pay 360 spirit stones for them." After hearing this, the man nodded and agreed to the deal. Only then did they realize that they were betting on water spirit beads. Looking at the spiritual pressure emitted by the water spirit beads, it should be similar to that of the middle-grade spirit stones. Lin Changqing couldn't help but approach the stall and take a look. He didn't find that the river clam had a halo. According to his idea, since there are water spirit beads that are similar to middle-grade spirit stones, there must be high-grade or even top-grade water spirit beads. Unexpectedly, after taking a look, there was no sign of anything. Chen Ziya seemed a little eager to try it. It seemed that this kind of water spirit bead should be more suitable for her to practice. Lin Changqing directly suggested, "Yeah. The spiritual energy in these water spirit beads seems to be relatively pure. It should be more suitable for you to use. If you like it, buy a few and try your luck." At this time, Hu Yunna and Zhao Mingxia also agreed, so Chen Ziya chose 4 sea clams that were larger than the ones the monk had just chosen. The boss took her 800 spirit stones, and after processing them, he returned the sea clams to her. Chen Ziya gave 1 to each person and asked everyone to try their luck together. Lin Changqing found 7 or 8 small water spirit beads in it, which were not much bigger than rice grains. The people around him said hush. In fact, he knew that he would lose money without asking, but he still took out those small water spirit beads. Hu Yunna's luck was similar to his, with only a dozen small water spirit beads. After she took them out, she also put them in Lin Changqing's hands. Zhao Mingxia's luck was a little better, and she opened a water spirit bead the size of 3 fingers, but generally speaking, it was still a loss. After all, according to the previous speculation, a water spirit bead is worth about 120 spirit stones, and it cost 200 spirit stones to buy the sea clam. So it's still a loss of 80 spirit stones. No wonder there are so many people looking at it, but very few people buy it. Lin Changqing had already given up hope on the sea clam in Chen Ziya's hand, but he didn't expect that surprises always come inadvertently. As soon as Chen Ziya opened the sea clam and touched it, she directly took out a water spirit bead that was half the size of a fist. The people watching at the scene immediately became excited. And someone around shouted, "Are you going to sell this water spirit bead?" I'll take it for 15,000 spirit stones. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 399, The True Eye of Merit is Malfunctioning? Soon, someone else offered 16,000 spirit stones. Then 18,000 spirit stones, and finally 20,000 spirit stones, but Chen Ziya had no intention of selling this water spirit bead. So after rejecting everyone, the four people quickly left the position and continued to walk forward. At this time, there were still 2 or 3 people following behind, who had not given up, and the price had been raised to 25,000 spirit stones. After Lin Changqing rejected them again, these people stopped following them. At this time, he also found that his innate merit true eye was not omnipotent. He just took a special look at those sea clams, but there was no performance, and Chen Ziya opened a top-grade water spirit bead in the sea clams that he confirmed had no performance. So he now deduced that his innate merit true eye also had certain defects. At least, the top-grade water spirit bead wrapped in the body of this sea clam could not be seen. Could it be because the sea clam wrapped in the top-grade water spirit bead is a living thing? It seems that I must find an opportunity to experiment in the future. By the way, I forgot one thing. I left in a hurry just now and forgot to buy some fish eggs. If I see them again later, I will buy some. Then put them in the pond in the inner space to hatch. In this way, Su Miniang and the others will have fish meat to eat after a while. Otherwise, it would be too monotonous to always eat spiritual rice and spiritual fruits. The 4 people continued to walk forward and saw a stall with several small water-attributed monster cubs, and their shapes were quite strange. However, they did not see any halos on them, so Lin Changqing just looked at them. It was the first time that Chen Ziya and the other 3 saw this strange little monster, and they watched it there for a while. After listening to the boss's introduction, they learned that it was a monster called the 8-handed demon fish, and the other was called the giant crayfish, both of which they had never seen before. But they were all too ugly, so they were just curious and left. After walking around for a while, Lin Changqing saw someone selling active fish eggs on a stall. Afraid that there would be no more later, he quickly bought 2 strings. The size was not too big, just fish eggs that were about the same size as linglong fruit, and the 2 strings of fish eggs were of different species. The price was not expensive, and it cost less than 100 spirit stones in total. Huyana even asked curiously, why did he buy these things? Lin Changqing had thought about how to answer in the morning, so he told them directly that he was going to give the purple crystal scorpion a try to see if they liked to eat this kind of fish eggs. If they liked it, he would buy more to feed them in the future. However, after strolling for so long, he also discovered a feature of the street stall square, that is, things that are common in Qinghai sector are relatively rare here. For example, those who sell talisman materials or spiritual medicines and plants are very rare. They visited 200 or 300 stalls and rarely saw these things. Huyana bought a lot of refining materials, but they were basically mostly water-based. Among the 4 people, Zhao Mingxia had the least harvest, and she only collected 2 kinds of spiritual medicines. After more than 2 hours of strolling around the street stalls, Lin Changqing didn't find the bargains he was looking forward to, which made him a little disappointed. Moreover, the only item that emitted a halo was opened by Chen Ziya herself. During the later period of strolling, they also encountered the kind of gambling water spirit beads, but they didn't buy sea clams anymore. After leaving the street stalls, Lin Changqing told them that he wanted to go to the gambling stone shop to take a look. Unexpectedly, everyone agreed and wanted to go with him. Therefore, the team going to the gambling stone shop became 4 people again. This Chaoying city is quite unique. At least the monks here should like to gamble. Like the gambling water spirit beads only seen on the street stalls, there are 2 gambling stone shops here, and he only saw one in other places. So Lin Changqing speculated that the monks in this place should like to gamble more. Yesterday he already knew where the gambling stone shop was, and he didn't need to ask for directions, and walked directly to the nearest one. Unexpectedly, when I just stepped into this gambling stone shop, I saw several pools not far from the entrance. The clams in them were the ones I saw just now, but they were just bigger than those outside. It seems that gambling on water spirit beads is indeed a major feature here. Anyway, He has no feeling for this thing, but Chen Ziya is more interested in it. Hu Yana and Zhao Mingxia are not interested in this, but just follow Lin Changqing. From the conversation of several people on the road just now, Lin Changqing knew that the two of them had never been to such a place before. So this time Lin Changqing did not refuse the service of the shop assistant, and asked him to introduce the various rules about gambling stones to Hu Yana and Zhao Mingxia in detail. And told them that it was the first time to play gambling stones, they could not play so big, and they were only allowed to buy one each. And agreed to go to choose the raw stones first, and then meet up after choosing, and then Lin Changqing couldn't wait to leave. He felt that Hu Yana and Zhao Mingxia might be led astray by him, but he didn't have time to care about them now. Because he had seen more than 20 halos of different brightness, and 5 of them were very bright. 2 of the rough stones were really big, almost half the size of the previous supergiant rough stone. The 2 big rough stones together were almost another supergiant, so he was so impatient. Lin Changqing could hold back his patience and talk to them for so long, which was considered to be a great patience. There were 5 top-quality rough stones in total, 2 of which were relatively small. After thinking about it, he gave up and just picked a top-quality rough stone that was the size of 3 human heads. Then he went to the largest top-quality rough stone and began to study it pretentiously. After waiting for a long time and performing enough tricks, he summoned a clerk to help invite the boss over. While waiting for the boss of the gambling stone shop to come, Lin Changqing went to study another relatively large top-quality rough stone. Anyway, the play was played to its full potential, but Lin Changqing was indeed very happy at this time, seeing that the inner space could add thousands of acres of land. He felt the emotions that Lin Changli fed back to him, and both Lin Changli and Lin Changli were very happy now. At this time, the guy finally came over with the boss. Chapter 400, Tell the Parents. Unexpectedly, the boss is actually a very beautiful female cultivator, but this has little to do with Lin Changqing. After the two greeted each other, they directly discussed the price of the 3 raw stones. The boss offered a price of 40,000 spirit stones for 3 raw stones. Lin Changqing would definitely not agree. This price is obviously much higher than other places. He is not a sucker. And he doesn't want to spend too many spirit stones, which is too high profile. It's better to try to spend as little as possible. Finally, after a fierce negotiation, the two finally set the price at 32,000 spirit stones. Lin Changqing paid the spirit stones readily. He rejected the boss's proposal to cut the stones for free, and worked with his partner to put the 3 top-grade raw stones into the storage bag. The things were finally put into the bag, and his heart was relieved. Only then did he have time to go to see Chen Ziya. She bought 4 sea clams that were bigger than before. This time, she actually spent 1,200 spirit stones. It felt that this was much more expensive than outside. But she didn't open it on the spot. After paying the spirit stones, the shop assistant helped her cut it. She put it in the spirit beast bag first, and then began to enter the workshop to look for a suitable raw stone that caught her eye. When Lin Changqing found her, she was already standing in front of a relatively large raw stone, but he took a look and found that the raw stone did not have any halo. So he asked, "Yair, do you have any suitable raw stones?" Chen Ziya shook her head and said, "I just went to see the sea clams, and I haven't seen any yet. If you don't see a suitable one, you can wait a while and go to the next one." Lin Changqing was in a good mood and said with a smile, "Then let's go and see them. If there is no suitable one, let's go to the next one." Chen Ziya nodded, and found Hu Yana, Zhao Mingxia and others with Lin Changqing, but each of them chose several raw stones and piled them together. Now they are hesitating, not knowing which one to choose. Lin Changqing glanced and found that among the pile of stones that Zhao Mingxia had, there was a raw stone the size of a human head, which emitted a dark golden halo, which should be a medium-grade gold spirit stone. Unexpectedly, Zhao Mingxia also had a little bit of luck. Seeing that the two of them were still hesitating, Lin Changqing felt that he should take action, otherwise he didn't know how long he would be here. So he said, "Are these the ones you have chosen that suit your heart? I see that the 2 junior sisters are still undecided. Do you want me to give you some advice?" After hearing this, the two agreed one after another. It would be great if Lin Changqing could help them choose, and they also believed in him. So he helped them choose directly, and they all chose the same rough stones of similar size. The boss of the gambling stone shop saw Lin Changqing here, and he was very considerate and charged 300 spirit stones for each person, which was considered to be taking care of old customers. In fact, If it is really compared with other places, it is not much cheaper, but a big bargain has been taken, so he didn't argue with the boss so much. At the boss's place, he spent 20 spirit stones to buy 2 special stone cutting instruments for Huyana and Zhao Mingxia, and then the 4 people left the gambling stone shop. He went straight to the next store. He had already thought that if this store didn't have any big goods, he would just take a look. He couldn't make too many purchases, lest he really lead them astray. When the time comes, their elders might really come to settle accounts with him. So after walking 2 streets, he arrived at another gambling stone shop. The area and layout were similar to the previous one. There were also several pools at the door, which were all filled with relatively large sea clams. However, this time Chen Ziya didn't look at these things. After refusing the shop assistant who came up to serve, the 4 of them looked at the raw stones separately. Lin Changqing was also very helpless now. After entering, he found that the number of halos here was a little less, but there were also 3 raw stones, which emitted very bright halos. One of them was not small in size, half of the largest raw stone just bought, which was equivalent to a quarter of the giant raw stone. It was impossible for Lin Changqing to give up such a large raw stone. As for the other 2 small ones, he could only give up. If he was alone, he would definitely not waste them all and buy them. But now that he had so many junior sisters with him, he really didn't want to lead them astray, so he chose to stop. He asked the shop assistant to find the boss, and after the 2 negotiated, they bought the top-grade raw stone for 7,500 spirit stones. After putting it in the storage bag, he went to find Chen Ziya and the others again, and found that the 2 raw stones in Chen Ziya's hand this time were the same as last time, without any halo. Lin Changqing couldn't help rolling his eyes, probably because Chen Ziya had just opened a top-grade water spirit bead, which used up all her luck for today. But it's good this way. If there's no bet on the increase, they won't be so enthusiastic in the future, and they won't be led astray by him. After Chen Ziya hesitated for a while, she looked at Lin Changqing, and the meaning was very clear, that is, she also wanted him to help her choose one. Lin Changqing directly chose a small one for her, so that the loss would be less. After Chen Ziya paid 280 spirit stones and rejected the suggestion of free stone cutting, the 4 people left directly. Unconsciously, a lot of time has been wasted. Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya still owe Huyana and the others a wedding banquet. Now the time is just right, so after asking for their opinions, the 4 of them went to the spiritual food shop yesterday. Lin Changqing ordered a very rich table of spiritual food, but did not order spiritual wine. It took the 4 of them more than an hour to finish the whole table. After they left the spiritual food shop, it was almost dark, but at this time Lin Changqing actually wanted to return to the hotel as soon as possible. He wanted to quickly throw the high-quality spiritual stone ore he bought today into the deep pit for Lin Changqing to absorb and digest. Moreover, Lin Changqing kept reminding him that the inner space used to have more than 9,000 acres, and it was almost enough for 10,000 acres. This time, Lin Changqing should be more anxious, because the high-quality spiritual stones harvested this time can be regarded as the biggest harvest of Lin Changqing in history. The 4 people slowly walked towards the hotel. Unexpectedly, when they just arrived at the hotel lobby, Mu Jiuan and Mu Xiaoxia were already waiting for them there. Lin Changqing's first reaction was to look at Chen Ziya and found that she was still smiling. At this time, Mu Jiuan and Mu Xiaoxia greeted everyone. Then Mu Jiuan said to Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya, "Senior brother Gao. The ancestor of the family already knows about you and Xiaoxia. Now she is drinking tea with Master Yangxia. Let's go and meet them together." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.